AEW All Out 2022 is this Sunday. So welcome to SCW. Going to go for the preview, going to go for the match card, going to give you the predictions. In fact, on this particular video, we are going all in because I've got a very special guest with me. And I'll be introducing you straight after we go through our intro today, which is going to give you the match card, the matches we'll be discussing, and what you can look forward to All Out this Sunday. So as you can see, that's a huge card there. 14 matches we're going to be going through today. A whopping card there, including the buy-in. But like I say, I'm not alone on this one. I'm looking forward to having this guest on for the very first time. 1/3 of the triple threat that is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. It is none other than Too Sweet Kyle in-house. Kyle, how are you doing? Welcome to SCW.
Steve, I'm doing fantastic. Like we said before we started to record, a long time coming. I've been watching your content now for about a year, so it was a matter of time before OTM and SCW collabed, and here we are for All Out.
Absolutely, and what a big show as well. And the thing is, you're going to be at this show in attendance as well. You must be really hyped for that.
You know, we've been to a lot of shows as a podcast this year so far. Figured I might as well take my good friend Ian for his 21st birthday. We'll be there Sunday. We got GCW on Friday and Saturday. So we are going all out for All Out here in Chicago.
That's what I like to see. That's fantastic stuff. And you've been to, like you say, you've been to numerous shows this year. What are some of the other shows you've been to?
Well, SummerSlam most recently. That weekend was jam-packed with stuff as well with GCW. I was at Ric Flair's last match. So we figured we would go to everything there. I'm blanking on other shows that I've been to. Oh, Royal Rumble in St. Louis. I was there for that as well. So I am just one of the big four away from attending all the shows, and I will be attending actually WrestleMania next year in LA.
Incredible stuff indeed there. Wow, that's awesome. And I'm not jealous at all, by the way. Not in the just. I'm a lot jealous. I'm gonna say I wish I was doing what you're doing. I wish I was there this Sunday as well. I think it's gonna be a hot electric Chicago crowd. They're gonna play their role as always. But first and foremost, before we get started, just to let everyone know as well that when we go for the matches, especially if you're watching on delay, you'll have a chapters feature below. So if there's a match in particular you're most keen on knowing about and what me and Kyle will be discussing about, you can skip forward to that. But before we go into any predictions at all, it's your first time, Kyle, on this channel, like we said there, and obviously you're 1/3 of the terrific trio that is On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I wonder if you could just let people know a little bit about your channel.
Yeah, so we started this podcast about 3 years ago, me and my co-host Jim Tucker, aka Chucky, as I call him on our channel. And we just added Erica Marini a little over a year ago, I believe, and we've been pumping out content weekly. We're talking AEW, WWE, and all the shows that we attend live because, like I said, you know, we've been to a lot of shows this year. I know Marini goes to a lot of ROH shows, and she's on the East Coast of the States, so she's represented there. We got Tuck on the West Coast, then me kind of in the Midwest. But, you know, we're just three friends that are chatting wrestling, kind of like what you're doing here. We love creating content and interacting with all the people out there that watch wrestling. So you can check us out on social media at Pod on the Mark. We got a little bit of a following on TikTok. We popped off. We went viral for a little bit there, so that was kind of exciting. So we're close to 400 followers on TikTok, but on Twitter, we're mainly active. So if you want to give us a follow at Pod on the Mark, we'll be live tonight talking Clash at the Castle and All Out. So I'm going to be doing double duty with 14 matches, discussing all of those once again later tonight. I can't wait.
Sounds like it's going to be a heck of a podcast later on, not to be missed as well. And usually, one thing you like to do on these shows as well is you go for the most valuable mark, if I'm not mistaken. You give a little title out for the most interactive on the shows.
That's right. The MVM is awarded at the end of every single podcast. So you came up with the idea that maybe we can award an MVM of today's live stream right here, right now, and see if you can retain that MVM later and watch OTM at 7 p.m. Central. So just a little spoiler, that might be a thing we do here at the end of the show.
Sounds good indeed. So if you want to get involved, it's a good idea to get involved because you could win the championship by the end of this stream. So that's pretty much it. I recommend as well to go and subscribe to the channel. It's a fantastic channel. I usually don't like to be biased and call out podcasts, but I'm going to be here on this. This is one of my favorite shows to go and check out every week. So, it's coming with a big recommendation for me. I always think that there's a natural chemistry. You will gel together very well. I love that you have the social interactions where there's good banter. It's not just talking about wrestling. You have a bit of fun with each other as well. You interact with the chat. It's a very interactive channel. So, like I say, I highly recommend people to take some time out, go and check out an episode, whether it's something that's current or even some of the older episodes as well. There's some great ones in there. You've done fantasy drafts as well with all the wrestling pools as well. So there's some top episodes in there for people to go and check out.
Yeah, I appreciate those kind words. And I'm not afraid to get into it too with the comments. So if you come at me with a take that I don't agree with, I'll let you hear it right back, because I can be a little heelish at times. Just a little bit of a teaser there.
I like it. Can I play the natural babyface role then for this? Maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe it's hard even to say with the main event. They're both baby faces. But, one thing for sure, I've put MGF in the thumbnail of this video. And people are probably thinking, why have you done that? Because he's not advertised for this show. We'll get into it. I think he's going to be on this show. I think he's coming back. And I'll explain where I think he's coming back later on. But just before we start, give a shout out to Tino's Time, who's straight in with the chase. Says, hey guys, he says he'll be watching, but he's driving to his fantasy football draft as well. So he's going to get his questions in now. We totally understand it. There's other things going on as well. You can get your quotes in there while you can. So he said, with what you guys think about everything that's going on, do we believe the Malakai Black rumors? They were going around on Twitter last night. All I can say with that is that Tina was on the show with me when it was coming up and about. We didn't find anything at the time from a legit source. Have you seen anything from a legit source about this?
No, it's kind of just rumors right now. You haven't seen like the Sean Ross apps or anybody that, is credible enough to be reporting stuff. So, and I take everything with a grain of salt when I hear all these stuff going on in the backstage with AEW. I don't really believe it until one of those people that is a legitimate journalist is reporting it. So to me, it's just white noise right now. I don't believe it.
Absolutely. No, I feel the same. And we'll have to wait and see. And of course, Malakai Black is on this show. So if he did, he's not going to be released here just yet. But there have been rumors about Bobby Fish as well, that his contract's not going to be renewed. I have seen that today. That took me by surprise.
Yeah, that seems to be a legitimate thing that's happening. He wasn't even with the company for, I don't even think, a full calendar year. We didn't get to really see the Elite go against the Undisputed Elite. So that's kind of a bummer. But I'm excited to see who ends up picking him up. Maybe he'll go back to MLW or something like that.
We'll have to wait and see, yeah. I mean, he may even go back to WWE. Triple H is picking up the phone quite a lot recently to some ex-WWE talent. So let's see how we do. But I'll tell you what, we've got the matches there at the moment, and we'll see as we go along. And let's start in then. I'm going to call it the pre-show, because they have all different names for these pre-shows these days. The buy-ins, the kickoffs, whatever you want to call it. So this is or the countdown to All Out. I'm not sure, but let's go with it either way. And this match, if I know my OTM pretty well, this could be the Erica Marini match of the night, potentially. I'm not sure. Yeah. Tomohiro Ishii versus Eddie Kingston is the first match we are going to be discussing. Now, of course, Eddie Kingston was meant to be taking on Sammy Guevara, of course, and there has been rumors of a bit of controversy that was going on backstage, a bit of an altercation between the two. Of course, Eddie Kingston was suspended. He has come out on Twitter and said he was wrong. There have been recent stuff coming out as well, reports saying, I believe it was the Wrestling Observer newsletter that said that now Eddie and Sammy have buried the hatchet, but a new match has been given here to Eddie Kingston, and we've got Ishii coming in from New Japan. It's almost like Forbidden Door all over again. What are your thoughts?
So I don't know much about Ishii, and like you said, it kind of does feel like Forbidden Door that he's getting a match here on the buy-in. Eddie Kingston always gets good reactions. When you go to the live events, the fans are behind him. But, with this match itself, I'm not personally that interested in it, just because there's not really a story behind it. As you know, probably from the podcast, I'm a big story guy when it comes to professional wrestling. So if there's not really much substance behind it, I'm not really that interested. But are you asking for my pick here as well?
Yeah, why not? Let's go in for predictions. Let's go heavy.
Let's just get weird off the start. I'm going to go with Ishii just because of Eddie's recent backstage altercation with Sammy, and maybe they're kind of punish him a little bit, and he's got to work his way back up. So I'm going to go with an upset here on the buy-in. What about you?
Do you know, it's a really interesting philosophy, like you say there, because Kingston, of course, you could just say, oh, he wins, he's an AEW guy. But like you said there, punishment as such, but also can make a story out of it. You simply want stories here going into the matches. What about a story coming out of it? A story that can follow up to Dynamite Rampage for the next few weeks. We know Arthur Ashe is coming up very soon as well. Eddie Kingston, maybe he can suffer a few losses. Maybe he needs to earn his way back up to get a big victory. But I like the thinking, I like the philosophy. But you said we're starting off controversial, and you said you sometimes can play the heel and I can play the babyface. So what I'll do is I'll be full on babyface and go full on AEW, and I'm going to go for Eddie Kingston to pick up the victory here. But honestly, this is a match that could go either way. But I think it's going to be hard hitting, and I think it will be a lot of fun. I mean, Ishii was supposed to be on Forbidden Door, was supposed to be in the All Atlantic Championship match, of course, if we remember rightly. He was pulled from it at the last minute. So good to see he gets a performance here in Chicago once again now. And obviously, like you said, it's going to be a hot crowd that's going to be watching it.
Yeah, and AEW likes to lean into the realism. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, they use that as a story. And maybe even Sammy costs him here on the buy-in.
Oh, that could be interesting as well. Yeah, just because it's settled behind the scenes doesn't mean it's settled on camera. I like it. Shall we move on to our next match?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I tell you what, we're going to talk about then the FTW Championship. We're talking about Hook going against Cool Hand Angelo Parker of the Jericho Appreciation Society. Now, not really much to go into this one either. Angelo Parker's sort of been calling his shot backstage a couple of weeks on Rampage, saying he wants to face Hook here. I'm pleased he's going to get, hopefully, a singles moment, maybe a chance to have a breakout moment, but there's no way he's beating Hook on this show. For me, Hook is picking up the dub.
No, I'm in agreement with you. Not much to say to it either. It's got to be Hook. I'm good for Parker and Angelo for re-signing with AEW. Apparently, they just got new contracts, so they're going to be along for the long haul. But yeah, it's got to be Hook. There's just no way that Cool Hand Parker is getting the win here. It's just not happening.
Absolutely not. And of course, Hook was being quite dominant in recent times as well. He's saying the idea of beating, I think it was Zach Clayton, the celebrity that had been in Jersey Shore, beating him in a match of moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that this could be a similar thing? This could be a squash in a couple of moments and done?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're going to be doing here with Hook as the FTW champion. They'll get him a couple squash wins, and then maybe they can invest into a story with somebody a little bit more credible down the line. Absolutely, indeed. There, Tino's got another comment in for us as well. Says, "You guys are the best. I'll be here the whole show." Thank you, Tino. Hope you're doing well, my friend, and thanks for checking it out. Jones and Chats Wrestling as well. So in the house, hope you're doing well. Jones, he says it should be a great event, and he hopes that we're both well as well. And I speak for myself that I'm doing well. Are you doing well, Carl? I'm doing fantastic. I get to talk wrestling twice in one day. How can I not be better?
Absolutely. It's a great way to do it. And of course, it's a big show as well. And Silk has just joined us in our house as well. NXT says, evening, gentlemen. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Of course, Jonesy and Silk will be at Clash at the Castle as well.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Of course, so they're going to be in Wales very, very shortly. So it's good. It's good to have them both in the house here. And of course, they're going on the other side tonight, talking AEW. Martin Creo with us as well. Says, what's up, Steve? Once again, and Kyle. Yeah, Martin, you've joined us quite a lot this week. You've been, literally every stream, almost every minute as well. So, yeah, if you're feeling as much as I am, I can understand it. But thank you for tuning in once again. But we've talked about 2 matches so far. Should we go on to a third, the last of the buy-in?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it indeed then. And, of course, this one is going to be for the All-Atlantic Championship. We're talking Pac against Kip Sabian, of course, a man that's been underrated, a man that's almost been designed like Marshmallow for the last sort of 12 months. He's had the box on his head at ringside. But yeah, it's going to be fun watching these two go at it. Of course, Kip Sabian decided that Pac was the person he was going to be after. I'm sure he wasn't always after the All-Atlantic Championship sitting at ringside, because that title's been around for about 2 to 3 months. But I think a lot of fans have said they want to see the All-Atlantic Championship defended on American TV, defended on AEW. They're going to get the opportunity here. The championship, I do think, is meant to spread the word of AEW around the world, which is why Pac has defended mostly in the UK. But I think it's good he does come back to the States from time to time to have a title defense. I think this could be a good thing. How do you feel about this match being here on the kickoff, countdown, buy-in, whichever you prefer? Yeah,
I'm actually excited for this one. Kip Sabian needed a change of character, and we're finally getting that here. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. But I was there at Forbidden Door when Pac won the All-Atlantic Championship, and the crowd reacted very positively to it. So obviously, we haven't got to see him defend it much on TV, but like you said, the purpose of that title is to showcase it around other brands. So good for them for having that. But I think it's too early in the title reign for Pac to lose. I do believe that Kip Sabian is a credible challenger to that title, and maybe there's shenanigans that happen where Pac ends up losing. But just for me personally, I'd like to see Pac maybe get one title defense on a pay-per-view, and maybe this feud can continue down the road.
Yeah, that's the feeling, because I do feel kind of the same about it as well. I mean, of course, if Pac is going to say go back to the UK for a while, isn't going to be in AEW for a while, I can see then why they might want to make the change, because Kip would be around both sides potentially. But at the same time, I do feel to myself that, I don't want to see Kip kind of be wasted either. He sat in the crowd for ages. He comes back in, and then it almost feels like a no-win situation for whoever loses this match. But in my opinion, I think Pac is going to be the victor here at this point. Like you say, we could do this at another date. Maybe it's a feud that could carry on to another show.
Yeah, put it on Dynamite, maybe a week or two down the road, and have Kip Sabian win it there. Just keep this feud going, because we haven't seen Sabian actually wrestle in a couple months, and then, Pac retains here, and then we go from there.
Absolutely, indeed. The chat is going wild at this particular moment. Quite a lot of people joining us now, and good to see. In fact, the competition, Paul Levesque in the house. Hey, how you doing, Paul? He's probably scouting the competition, thinking who can I make a phone call to. And just remember, TK has said you can't come and actually, tamper with contracts with people that are there, but do appreciate you checking out the opposition nonetheless. Jonesy, though, comes in and says that he would like to see CM Punk get a heel stable with FTR to help beat Moxley. That's an interesting proposition. We'll be talking about that match proper as our main event of the show, but still, what are your thoughts of the idea of a CM Punk FTR faction, if you will?
Oh, that would be awesome. And I think the direction of CM Punk is leaning towards the heel side. The last couple of weeks on television, it just seems like he wants to be a heel. And if you have him with FTR, who he obviously has a good relationship with in real life, you pair that on screen, two of the best in the tag team division, paired up with the quote-unquote best in the world, that's a money idea right there. I like that.
Absolutely, indeed. I have to agree. And I think it would be a lot of fun. I know that FTR are with Wardlow on the show, the pinnacle, if you will. But, hey, we'll have to wait and see how it is going to play out, because there are lots of things that can happen at this show. And a few people still happy about Clash of the Castle. Silk here saying, Wales, woo, he's on the journey tomorrow. In fact, Martin actually says that he's jealous for Silk and Jonesy for going. It will be a great show. We do hope that you guys have a fantastic time there at Clash of the Castle. And of course, they were involved on the prediction show for that. So if you have not seen that, I recommend to go and check that out. But after this one, because we're talking AEW, and I've got my main man, Too Sweet Carl, here for the first time on SCW. Jonesy says, well, it'll be Clash of the Strowman, or as it's known as. Potentially, there's a rumor there that could be leaked at some point. Melinda Ford in the house as well. Hope you're doing well, Melinda. Thank you for checking out the stream. Hope you are doing well. And Silk also asking, are we looking at another long pay-per-view? Yes, we are. I mean, we've only just spoke about the kickoff. That's all we've done to this point. We're going on to the main show after this. So for those that are just tuning in, you're tuning in at the right time. And just to remind you once again, as a good old OTM classic, you have a championship that you give away at the end of each of your episodes. You're going to do it here today for the person that gets and interacts the most here today. Whoever interacts the most and gives the best takes as well with your actual comments you put in, you can become the champion today, the MVM for On The Mark Wrestling Podcast, and you can defend that on their live stream later this evening. So, highly recommend people to get involved with that.
Yeah, we can ship you a sticker and everything. We got it. Tuck's got them. So we just need your address, and we'll ship that title to you, and then come join us at 7 p.m. Central tonight and see if you can defend it.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Very excited indeed. Paul Levesque does say it's nice to meet you, Kyle, as well. Martin says, the All Out Championship has been hidden in AEW. I want to see Pac have a great matches and showcases on Rampage or Dynamite. Obviously, we explained what the idea is of the All Out Championship, but at the same time, to see it come back and defend the States, not just on pay-per-view, perhaps a Rampage and a Dynamite would be nice to see from time to time.
Yeah, especially on Rampage. And I know you saw my tweet that Tony Khan had a quote in the media scrum that they did today that he wants to make Rampage more of a big deal. I feel like he says that every month when he does these media calls, and it still hasn't felt like a big deal. And a good step would probably be showcasing your All-Atlantic Championship on Rampage.
Absolutely. Absolutely indeed. Couldn't agree more. Martin says, I'm still confused on why Kip forgot what Miro did to him last year. I think mainly because Miro is the Redeemer, and I think Miro would beat him up. Yeah,
and Redeemer is the gimmick now. He's a babyface, I think, too. So, I mean, it would be interesting to see those two clash, but maybe not yet.
Maybe not yet. We'll have to wait and see further down the line. Noob and come in the house. Hello, Noob. Hope you are doing well. Thank you for checking out the stream. Jones is saying that you once had Tony Khan now in the stream, and now you've got Triple H. You're going up in the world, mate. Yeah, absolutely. And funny enough, it's when each company feels like that they may feel like the more popular one at the time due to a lot of the fan base. That could be an irony point there. But hey, we'll go over it anyway. I'm happy to have them here. And to be fair, we've had Triple H now here. If we get Tony Khan as well at the same time, who knows? Maybe we can start discussing a new Forbidden Door show. Could be here. Breaking news.
Ooh, wouldn't that be something?
It would be indeed. Martin says, like Jonesy says, you have hit the mainstream. Well, you know, we're doing our best here. Jonesy says he thinks MJF has to come back at this event. He's excited for that. I mentioned it earlier on. Do you think that, Kyle, that MJF could return at this show?
He definitely could. I'm not banking on it, though. I feel like we would have heard a little bit of a murmur or a rumor going out there that they're in talks with MJF, but we really have heard nothing. No news whatsoever about his status. So I'm not completely sold yet. But then again, there definitely is a decent chance that he shows up. And I think if he does, it's going to get a mega pop for sure.
Absolutely, indeed. I think it would do. If MJF turns up at this show, I think the place is going to go crazy. Also, I love that instead of a Forbidden Door show, we're getting shots instead here. Paul saying, TK has long pay-per-views. I shorten them. Gotta love it indeed there. But I think, where are we now? We've got Erica Marini from OTM as well.
Hey, look at that.
I do think, though, we've probably gone past what would be your favorite match of the show already. We've already talked about Tomohiro Ishii versus Eddie Kingston, so I do apologize about that if you've missed it, but hope you're keeping well. Thank you for checking out the stream as well. And we've got Silk as well saying, no championship contenders matches. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. We don't get that indeed. And Jones has given a prediction early on as well. He says, thinks Josh Alexander could be for the casino ladder match. We will be talking that actually very, very shortly, Jonesy, so you could be in luck with that. But in fact, Jill, we're going to talk about those matches. So should we do that one first?
Yeah, we might as well.
Let's do it. Let's talk about that first then. So here we go. We've got the casino ladder match then on the main show. We've got Cesaro, Wheeler Yuta, Penta, we've got Phoenix, Rouge, Andrade, and we've also got Dante Martin. Of course, we've got a Joker, as always, in these matches. Now, first and foremost, before we go into any predictions at all here of the Joker, be speculative who it can be, I just want to get your feeling of the concept of the casino ladder match. It's almost like a Royal Rumble, but in a form of a ladder match. And personally, I'm a big fan of it. Is it just me, or do you like it as well?
I think the matches are entertaining, but I wish that these winners actually would go on to defeat the world champion, because it feels like every time the person wins the casino battle royal or whatever they call it, the ladder match, they lose that match against the champion. I think this needs to propel them sort of like the Money in the Bank briefcase does. And this could be their way of using, something like the Money in the Bank. But the match style is great. It's always going to be an entertaining car crash of a match. So I'm cool with it. I'm not a huge fan, but I like it.
Yeah, the thing is, I think you make a great point, though. To be invested in something, the person that wins it needs to go to the next level and then make the most of that opportunity. If someone keeps winning these, and same with the Battle Royal as well, if they win them and then don't win the championship, you always sort of think, well, yeah, should I really get behind the person that wins it? So I think you make a fantastic point with that. But I said earlier on in the stream, MJF, I think this is the place. I think this is where it comes back. I'd like to see him come after the main event, to be brutally honest, but I have an idea of how I think the main event may go down. So, perhaps he could still be a part of the main event if he was to return and win this match.
Yeah, he definitely could. And if he's in this match, he has to win. There's no doubt about it. But I think it's going to be W. Morrissey. We just saw him on Wednesday. He's got nothing going on. He's now partnered with, what is he called now in AEW? I know he's Malcolm Bivens, but
Stokely Hathaway.
Yeah, that's it. So maybe they're going to put a little bit behind him. So I think he'll be the Joker, but I don't think he's going to be the one that's going to win this match.
No, interesting. From the field that we have, who would you say is the most likely to pick up the victory?
So the way I look at the field, you kind of have two sides feuding here. You got Andrade and Rouge, and then you have the Lucha Brothers. They're kind of doing their own little thing. So I don't think any of those guys are going to pick up the victory. They like to give it to people that are going to be the ultimate underdog. And to me, that is Dante Martin. So I actually think Dante Martin is going to win this match. I'm not going to spoil who I think is going to win the main event, but I think the match that he could have with this person would be pretty entertaining, especially if this person changes over to the heel side of things. So I'm going with Dante Martin here. It's kind of just a random match. And like I said earlier, they really don't go with somebody that's going to be a threat to the title. They just want to have a really good one. So I think it'll be a good match between Martin and whoever wins that main event.
Absolutely exciting stuff indeed there. For me, I kind of feel similar. I like you. Dante Martin, for me, is made for the ladder match. So it would be great to see him have that moment. I always feel that, Tony Khan has the new toy. So from the lineup, I think I would look at Claudio. I think he would be the one that I think would be most likely to pick up the W, despite already being a world champion. To see him then go for the AEW world champion, whether it's against the Blackpool Combat Club in John Moxley, or whether it was against CM Punk, I think would be an exciting match. I think people would be down for seeing.
Well, yeah, that's a good way to advertise something on Dynamite. You have two world champions going at it for, I guess you could just say it's a unification match too, and make things even more interesting. So if Claudio were to be the one to win, that definitely would put some butts in seats on Dynamite.
Absolutely. There's one name I want to throw in there that's not been mentioned until just before we go in towards the comment section, which is someone I'd love to see in the match if it wasn't some of the names we've already mentioned. I'd love Will Ospreay to be in this match. I think Will Ospreay to then have the opportunity to win this and then go for the AEW World Championship. He seems to be, though, I think at the moment, locked horns with Kenny Omega. That's not finished after Dynamite. So maybe that could be the long-term direction. But to see Ospreay more in AEW for me is a win-win, because I really enjoy him anyway when I've watched him his previous work. But now I get to see him on a more regular basis on TV. He is really taking to an American audience very, very quickly. He's had some great matches, some main events already on Dynamite. I think he'd be amazing to have as a spot on this show.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a guy that I really don't know much about until he started showing up here in AEW, because I typically stick to watching stuff that's inside the United States. So this is my first kind of run with Ospreay. And like I tweeted last night, this guy is must-see TV. I'm surprised AEW hasn't just officially signed this man. And like you said, we're on a collision course with him and Omega that's going to be absolutely electric. And if he was in this match, yeah, he would definitely be a legitimate threat to win. That's for sure.
Absolutely, indeed. There. Well, let's go to the chat and then see what people got to say. Paul Levesque wants that belt, by the way. He's meant to be changing belt designs, but certainly wants to have your championship at the end of this stream. So you've got to get some good comments in there, Paul Levesque, if you want to be named the most valuable mark at the end of this stream. Silke says MJF as the surprise entrant potentially could be. It was the name I gave forward there. So definitely on my wavelength of thinking. And I think Jonesy feels the same here. He said that, although, mate, why would Tony give him this spot after his pipe bomb unless it's totally not mentioned or that storyline is dropped? Perhaps, maybe, as an idea, maybe MJF could attack who it was meant to be backstage and steal the spot.
Yeah, that would be a good way of going about it. I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
That could be an interesting way to do it. I mean, that would help for it. So we'd have to wait and see. Yeah. We've got Richard in the house as well. It says, hope Moxley and Punk ends with AEW going out of business by Jericho. Richard's clearly not an AEW fan, but I appreciate you getting in the stream anyway. Always helps, doesn't it? It's nice.
There's always that one person in the comments. I know how it is.
Absolutely. But Richard, why not? You might get your wish. It's probably very unlikely, though. Joseph says, Punk versus MJF was the original plan for this event before everyone got injured. Interesting. Well, we will go more, obviously, of how things have developed for CM Punk later in this stream. I'll maybe give some fantasy booking as well towards the end of it as well, if we have a bit of time to do so. But we'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out. But, I mean, that would have been a good main event. But I think this main event certainly could be interesting as well. I know we've seen it once a couple of weeks ago, Moxley versus Punk. But I think having here, they've put an interesting twist to the story.
Yeah, especially what we saw on Dynamite last night. That really got me excited for the match, because we obviously all saw what happened 2 weeks ago when Moxley squashed Punk. And after that, I'm like, how do you continue this story? Where does it make sense? And last night on Dynamite, they kind of told it better. So I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm ready for this match.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel in for it as well after last night. I think they did a good job building it. Nubico says W. Morrissey as the Joker, but I'm going with Andrade or Rouge or Dante Martin winning. Absolutely brilliant stuff indeed there. Well, I mean, to be fair, I hope that if you pick three, that one of them get it. But,
I was going to say, you might as well just name the rest.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I hope, to be fair to Andrade, he deserves to get a breakup moment in AEW, doesn't he? He's not really had that.
Still waiting on it, yeah.
Rouge, I think, is getting over pretty well. And like you said, Dante Martin is a top stand-up performer. And I think you mentioned W. Morris there in that Joker spot. I think that could be a likely candidate to be in there, because Stofley, obviously, the thing is, he's handing cards out. He now needs to show that he's got some stroke with giving those cards out to give people opportunities. And that could answer the question here. What do you think is the end goal of Hathaway's recruitment? Do we think that he's actually going to build up a monster stable that's going to take over AEW? What's he looking to do?
You would think it's a little confusing right now, because he's literally just giving out cards to everyone that doesn't really have any direction in AEW. So maybe eventually that is going to form a cohesive unit. So that's where I'm hoping we're headed. But I really don't know. Maybe his gimmick is just giving out business cards to every single person imaginable. But W. Morrissey would be a good foundation piece, a big guy to get behind, because there's not a lot of big guys in AEW that get the shine. I mean, they tried with Lance Archer, and they kind of backed off that for a little bit. So maybe W. Morrissey could be that guy for them, and maybe with Stokely Hathaway leading the charge, that's the direction they go.
Absolutely. I have one small fantasy booking idea that's popped in my head that I would like to see it be, but I don't know if it would be. What if Stokely Hathaway secretly is going to be the general manager for Ring of Honor going forward? The television deal is coming in. He's handing the business cards out to try and actually build up a roster to perform each and every week.
That's something I didn't even think about, but that's a money idea right there. I can get behind that for sure.
Absolutely. I would like to see it happen, but we'll have to wait and see how it will play out. Jonas says, I'd like to see MJF motivate Punk to a heel turn and to the darker side, including attacking Ace Steel. I imagine attacking Ace Steel would be a good way to go if you're going to go heel. I must admit, I didn't know who Ace Steel was until this past week, though.
I saw him ringside in that Money in the Bank match against John Cena in 2011. So I recognized the face. I just didn't know the backstory behind it. So when I saw him on AEW last night, I was like, oh, that's the guy that was ringside at Money in the Bank, which is my favorite wrestling match of all time, by the way, that match between him and Cena. But yeah, that's the only reason I know who he was.
Absolutely, yeah, fantastic stuff indeed there. And I'll tell you what, Shivani versus Hathaway, add it to the buy-in. Jonesy, we've got 14 matches already. How late do you want us to stay up?
Let's do it. Let's get weird.
Let's do it. Kyle was in the house. He'll happily stay there all night. I'm pretty sure with that in Chicago. Martin says, I'm going for the Joker since as Kyle stated, that everyone else is feuding with one another. Yeah. But Dante will have a good showcase, which I think that's a great point to make there. There's been a very interesting one been put in by Randy Sam. I'm just going to jump a couple of comments ahead here. Yeah. What about it being Kota Ibushi?
That's something that we've seen murmurs of on the internet, people wanting Kota Ibushi. I mean, that would be a cool spot too. I just don't think it is going to be him this time.
It'd be interesting if it would be. But another one here, Samoa Joe is due back soon.
Yeah, that one's more likely. I would like to see Samoa Joe in there too. Yeah,
I think that actually could be, Jonesy, that could be the one. If
that might be the one.
That might be the one. We'll stick with that. Not going to be Ryback, though. I'm sorry about that, Martin. I'm sorry. Like I said, Martin, love you, but no.
No, thank you.
No. Punk has to win the main event, otherwise he ruins his loss after last week. We'll be getting to the main event towards the end of the show, so don't worry about it, Jonesy. And you can always catch up on delay if we do end up overrunning like we have done the last couple of shows. Randy says, I've got Rouge for the winning casino ladder match. Rouge would be a good shout. As we said already, we like the idea of that. And also Silky is saying, Ethan Page to the moon in Ring of Honor if that's the case. I mean, Ethan Page deserves a spot. Maybe he could be the Joker.
Ethan Page is probably, I know Kip Sabian's gimmick now is the underrated. I think Ethan Page is the most underrated guy on that roster. I mean, he is awesome on the microphone, very solid in ring. He looks like a champion. That is definitely someone I would like to see AEW or ROH get behind.
And certainly indeed, yeah. I think for me, I'm a big fan of his work in Impact. I loved him with Josh Alexander as the North. Thought it was so innovative as a team, but he broke out as a single star. He's been in AEW, and I think he deserves to get a good shot at it. He's never under-delivered. He's always, everything's put in front of him, whether it's 30 seconds or 5 minutes. He always maximizes that time. So I hope that he does get a shot at some stage. Jonesy says, I hope the halfway thing does not go the same way as Bobby the Brain Heenan in the WCW angle with Sonny Ono back in '96. Of course, that was a big brown envelope that went Sonny Ono's way and to Bobby Heenan, or vice versa. I forget which way, but certainly there were some fun moments. That's definitely to say the case. Also, Martin says, do we see the potential of this match to showcase the Revolution ladder match earlier in the year? Potentially could do. Maybe it could be something that could replace the Revolution ladder match long term, because I'm not sure I'm a big fan of the big Sonic ring.
No, I'm not either. I agree with you there.
Kenneth Paul says that Moriarty could be that.
Where's he been? He's been off TV for a while.
Long time. And also we've got some fantasy booking here from Kenneth as well. What if 10 attracts Andrade backstage? He gets hurt. Ethan Page with a new character. Don't do that to me. Wins the ladder match because of Stokely Hathaway, and he joins Morrissey and Lee Moriarty. So there we go. That's what he was looking to do.
Gotcha.
Richard's saying to kill AEW. Richard's going to come in with the anti-AEW comments, but maybe he wants to control his narrative. Who knows? That could be the way they could go forward with it.
Well, EC3 is losing all of his friends, apparently. They're all coming back to WWE, so maybe he will come to AEW.
Maybe, or maybe he'll be shifted to Impact. We'll never know. Martin says, what happened to Scorpio Sky? He could be the Joker. He's been injured for a while. He's been injured.
Okay, I didn't know that.
He could come back. We'll have to wait and see. And Chris says the Joker could be someone from Impact, and it could be Moose. I'd lose my mind. Be down for that. Be fun to see someone from. Yeah, we've already got 2 people from Impact going to be on this show.
Yeah, that's true. Might as well add another.
Absolutely. And last comment before we go on to our next match then, is it just me or is Stokely making a family faction like Bobby Heenan? No comparison note with Morrissey is that monster. Possibly boys can join. Yeah, but I mean, Bobby Heenan was massive for that in the late 80s and early 90s, was always going against Hulk Hogan with these like big groups of stables going one after the other, trying to take the top guy down. So I'd be down for a stable like that. Obviously, maybe like an NWO, maybe something a bit forward, like a Nexus style stable, someone trying to take over the company. That could be quite fun to see.
Why not another faction in AEW? We can add title belts, we'll add factions, because that's just all elite wrestling right there.
Absolutely. And do you know what's good for a faction? A trios championship. Should we go to that next?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, we know we've got the finals in place with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. They will be taking on the winners on AEW Rampage of the Dark Order or Best Friends. Of course, Dark Order were supposed to have number 10. They were supposed to have Evil Uno, but both have been out injured. So Hangman Adam Page is filling in that spot with Silver and Reynolds. So I'm expecting that they will be the ones that will make it to the final, and then we will get the story once again of Hangman Adam Page against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and the loyalties that we've seen for the history of AEW so far.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I definitely think Dark Order is going to win tomorrow night, and it's going to be an interesting dynamic too, because we recently saw on Dynamite the Young Bucks are kind of mending that bridge a little bit with Hangman Page. So that in-ring story is going to be awesome to see if that is what we see on Sunday night. But for me personally, when they introduced the trios title, I was like, okay, this is tailor-made for the elite. If you're going to start a trios title, the inaugural champions are probably going to be the elite. But when you look at the Dark Order now with Hangman on their side, I think they need it more. Like, they need a little bit of juice behind the Dark Order, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody other than Mr. Brody Lee in the Dark Order has won gold, right?
You'd be correct.
So might as well give them the first trios title. I don't know. My pick's the elite, though. It's just tailor-made for them, so I think they're going to win.
It's hard to bet against the elite. Let's be fair. I mean, I'm kind of with you when I think about this. I just sit to myself and say, it wouldn't be nice, because Hangman said it's their time. It's the time for the Dark Order to get something. They've got a big opportunity on the biggest shows of the year. So that's nice to see to begin with. But there was some fantasy booking stuff that was done at the start of this. When the Bucks were looking for a tag team partner, and everyone said, well, what if it was like someone gets attacked and then Hangman Adam Page just come in at the last second or something like that, or Kenny came in at the last second. I talked about Will Ospreay earlier in this video, and I said he's not done with Kenny Omega. He could be a reason of why they don't win the championships, but maybe he attacks Kenny Omega before the match starts, and Hangman's then put in another awkward position because, is he going to stay with his friends of the Dark Order? Or I don't see it necessarily happening, but it could be a fun interaction that we could have.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea too. Your brain works a lot better than me when it comes to this fantasy booking stuff. I can't think of that stuff, so maybe you should be writing for AEW.
I don't think Tony Khan would have me. I'm just going to say it out there. We've had Paul Levesque in the chat, but I don't think we've had Tony Khan yet. So we'll have to wait and see how we'd go. But I do thank you for the kind words anyway. But to go with it, I think, like you said, it comes down to you can't look past the elite. But at the same time, with them having Hangman Adam Page, maybe they just might do it on the night. I don't know. A part of me feels that I want to do something really daring and just say the Dark Order just to be controversial.
Do it. Let's get weird. Yeah, there we go.
Let's get really weird. Let's get to the point that Hangman, of course, has not done a lot either since he lost the championship. So this would be quite interesting. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes. But Silk saying this has to be the Dark Order, right? Think about putting this on the elite is too predictable. Maybe it is too predictable. I don't know. That's the thing that makes me think maybe I should go the other side here, because Dark Order have never really had their moment. So we'll have to wait and see. I think that this one is not as straightforward as it looks.
No, it's definitely not. This is I think there's a few matches on this card that's 50-50, because you can make a legitimate case on either side here. I lean towards the elite because they're more of a prestigious group that has the accolades compared to the Dark Order, who hasn't won anything yet.
Absolutely, indeed. There, and we've got here Martin saying the altercation between Hangman and Omega will be very interesting. It certainly will be. Maybe that's the altercation we get with Hangman and Omega, not so much Hangman versus the Bucks. That's where the Dark Order, like Silver and Reynolds, have the action going each and every time.
Yeah, for sure.
Chris says he's got the Dark Order win for the babyface pop in honor of Brody Lee, but we know the elite will win. But it would be a nice tribute if they did that to Brody afterwards.
Yeah, it would. I would like to see that. That'd be cool.
Richards here once again. He's hoping Control Narrative kills AEW. They almost did NWA by turning up at the end of their show at NWA 74. But we'll see how it goes down. Jeremy Hanks has got the Dark Order win. And I can see Will Ospreay interfering, attacking Kenny Omega. But nobody saw this Hangman Page heel turn on the Dark Order. Could you imagine that?
There would be a lot of heat behind that. So if you want to do it, you're going to get a lot of good heel heat. I just don't think it's the time to turn Hangman Page. He's a very good babyface and one of the true babyfaces in AEW.
I think as well as a babyface, he may have some unfinished business with someone at the top of the card as well. But we'll talk about that later on. We won't give anyone away just yet. And that maybe might make sense that the Elite for the win, as Nuben Co has said here. Jeff Samuel says here, sorry guys, but I got Dark Order win. I said sup guys, not sorry guys, but sup Jeff, hope you're doing well. It's just the British nature in me of saying sorry very easily. But yeah, it is what it is. So we've gone with our predictions for that. Should we drop into the next match?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it indeed there. And just to find my place here, we'll go with the AEW Women's World Championship. Of course, it's been made vacant. Thunder Rosa, of course, having to vacate due to injury. So we've got 4 women here in a fatal 4-way. We've got Toni Storm, we've got the Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, we've got Jamie Hayter, and we've got Hikaru Shida, who seems to have come back from, well, probably from Japan, because that's where she's been for a while. I forgot she was on the AEW roster, but of course, she picked up a victory in a very good tag team match this past week on Dynamite.
Yeah, that's for the better women they have, and they're weaker women's division than most companies have, but they are getting better. I know I've talked about it a lot on my show about the AEW women's division, but I do like these 4 in this match because I do think there's a case for every single person to pick up the victory here, because if you look at it and you want to go with an upset in Jamie Hayter, her pinning Britt Baker to win the title would be very, very juicy, and you can have a storyline right there made for it with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter until Thunder Rosa comes back. But logistically speaking, I think Toni Storm is the obvious choice just because that seemed to be the direction they were going with Thunder Rosa. So I'm just going to put on my smart hat here. I'm going to go with Toni Storm. Britt Baker, obviously a legitimate threat, the best champion they've had in the company, the top of their division, in my opinion. She could easily win, and you just revisit Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker when she gets back, because we know how great their matches have been. But I think my pick in here has got to be Toni Storm. Where's your head at?
First off, you said you weren't doing the fantasy booking stuff. I absolutely love the idea of Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker there. I think that would be awesome. I think that would be a great story coming out of All Out. So fantastic. Hats off to that rather than put the smart hat on. I'll do that in a moment if I can. But just to say, I think that, like you said there, maybe it makes sense here. Toni Storm, Thunderstorm, that was the direction. Feels like it would be the logical choice here. So, I mean, I'll keep it short and I'll keep it brief on this one. I think Toni Storm is picking up the win. There's no story going into it. Perhaps if Baker and Hayter maybe cancel each other out, can still do that afterwards. I can see Shida picking up the pin, taking the pin here in the match, the fact that she won on Dynamite. But we'll have to wait and see how it would play out. But is there anything you'd like to add before we go to the chat?
No, I just think Shida is definitely the one to take the pinfall just because she's had her time at the top of the card. And it was okay. Her run was all right. I didn't hate it. But if anybody's going to eat the pinfall, it's got to be her.
Absolutely, indeed. There, Silk has got a comment here. Says, "Will someone please put the title on Toni Storm? Might even win the MVM. You never know at this point. But now keep those chats coming in. There's been some great chats so far. Kyle will be giving a winner at the end of the stream. But we've both gone for Toni. So let's see how it will play out. Also, we've got in here, Nubico says that Jamie Hayter is the most likely to win because Britt Baker is borderline boring. So Jamie Hayter turns on Britt Baker and joins the Blackpool Combat Club. Do you know what? She'd be a good fit for the Blackpool Combat Club. I like that suggestion with Jamie Hayter in that group.
She would, but borderline boring Britt Baker? I don't know. I don't agree with that one.
I don't personally agree with it, but I know she held the championship for a very long time. But it's not the only comment to say it. Perry Carey says the overrated Baker winning, obvious. She's the biggest star, but I've got a Toni Storm win. So there seems to be a bit of heat on Miss Baker at this particular time, but we don't have her to pick up a victory here, so we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. I think I've missed this from before, so Martin will get this comment in now. What if Omega and Hangman are the legal men and the Bucks are at odds with who they want to go with, and that costs the Elite the Trios Championships? That's a good fantasy booking idea as well.
Yeah, not a bad thought there either.
there is a lot of ideas of what you could do with that trios final. So that's why I think actually it's a really well put together final. At the time, it was a bit lackluster with the way the tournament was put together. I've seen some of the big trios go out early, but I think there's a lot of story and a lot of fun you can do with that match. So let's see how it will go down.
Yeah.
Martin goes on also to say, I really want Jamie Hayter to win since she's been in the shadow of Britt Baker for quite some time. She really is a top performer. She's a great potential breakout star. She's been in the company for about a year now. Are you a fan of Jamie Hayter as well?
I am. I don't know if you remember me telling this story on one of my podcasts, but when I went to last year's All Out, we went to the AEW Fan Fest, and the initial fee, I think, was like $80 to get in. And that's not even to meet or pay for the other people. But Jamie Hayter was a part of the free group because there were some free lines that come with admission. We stood in line for an hour and a half to meet Jamie Hayter. And then when we got up to meet her, she ran out of 8x10. So the only thing we could do was take a picture with her. But she was a sweetheart when we went up there, and I enjoyed my interaction with her. And that actually is the reason I became a fan of Jamie Hayter, because I spent an hour and a half in line just to talk to her for 30 seconds. But hey, sometimes that's all it takes.
Hey, fantastic. And maximizing your time, maximizing your moments. And it's good to hear as well that she was really good about it as well. So that's a fantastic story as well there. And like I say, you go to many shows, you've met many superstars as well, even the likes of Johnny Gargano just recently as well. So very well traveled in our wrestling community.
You can see them back here. These are the 8x10s I actually got last year at All Out. You got the Martin twins. You can kind of see them in the middle. You got 10 and Allin Angels, and then we got 2.0 right there. When I was on, and I got to meet the Gun Club as well, I FaceTimed in and to my friend, and then everybody just started talking to my friend on FaceTime. So the Gun Club and 2.0, very friendly guys.
Fantastic. That's good to know as well, especially as they play such dastardly heels on our TV screens each and every week. And of course, Perry also reminds us that Britt Baker's a heel, so it's not breaking kayfabe. Fair enough if that's how you like to do it. We're not going to be against that at all. Martin also says, but I will go for Toni Storm. It makes sense to have the babyface champion with the long list of heels at the moment. That's very true as well. It does make true story with that. And also could see one of the heels potentially stepping up to this championship soon, but we'll talk about that later in the stream. Silk wants to know our thoughts on the rumor of an AEW doing an all-women's TV show.
I didn't hear about that. Did you? I
have seen it on Wrestle Talk. That was the place I saw it. But I don't know if I believe it will happen. And I'm going to sound a bit cynical here, but I think this could be potentially AEW giving into peer pressure of the idea that there's not enough women's wrestling. And I think their way of doing it, rather than putting more women's action on Dynamite and Rampage like we want, we'll give them their all women's show. That could be what they may do instead.
Yeah, and just don't, if they do it, don't make it like Total Divas. We don't need another version of that show. I know people like Total Divas, but AEW, that's not what they're about. So
no, and I'd even say they should record it. If they do say like Rampage as a show, they should actually then do it there rather than actually do it like Dark and Dark Elevation, because how to make it feel unimportant, uninspiring very quickly if you did it sort of in a hall with like 100 people when you could do it in front of the big audiences that you have each and every week for your TV shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeremy Hanks says, I've got Toni Storm to win this. This can be this way. SNL can't Thunder Rosa to be the heel when she comes back. This can be excused for you was never on my side and you only wanted my title. That would be a good story actually for those there. I'd like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm cool with that.
Absolutely. Richard's still hoping that this show will be cancelled by Chris Jericho from the bottom of his heart. Richard, you're doing your best.
I'm glad he's still here. I mean, the dedication is real.
That is real, Richard. We're loving it, so don't feel the need.
It helps your algorithm, right? So
absolutely, massively, and we're doing well on the algorithms. We're catching up to monetization, so any minute you can give to SCW, it's greatly appreciated.
Subscribe, people.
Absolutely. Chris says Jamie Hayter should win by pinning Britt Baker, and she is shocked. And this can be used for a Britt. Not mad she won, but she's like Triple H was for Randy Orton when he won the championship. That could be interesting when we see a celebration for Jamie Hayter. Again, another great idea for that.
Well, it seems like the chat's really behind Jamie Hayter in this one. That's
really are. They really are. Jeremy, just got your comment up now, so do apologize for the time it took to get there, but we got there in the end. And also, do you see this match over-delivering than some of the other matches? I do, actually. I think this Fatal 4-Way is going to be a good one.
Yeah, you got four of the best in their women's division, like I said, so I can't see it being bad. It's got to be good.
Absolutely. I feel the same with that one. So, and another match I think is going to be good.
What's that?
Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. who is your daddy? Is pretty much the way Christian Cage was doing this. Was the mentor that turned on Jungle Boy, and of course, then we saw Christian Cage do his most inappropriate jokes of the week a lot of the time. Offering the phone call to the mum, actually even going face to face as well at ringside. This stuff was pretty personal. This is one of the more blood feuds here for this show. I'm surprised it's just a normal one-on-one match. Perhaps they're going to save the no DQ element, or perhaps a steel chair element to another show. But I think the key for this could be Luchasaurus, because Luchasaurus was on Christian's side at the start. He then went back to Jungle Boy's side then, but he's not been seen on TV for a couple of weeks now. Christian Cage is going into the show with an injured elbow. I've got a funny feeling that Luchasaurus is going to help and bail Christian Cage out of this one, because I think Christian Cage is going to be taken to the woodshed.
Yeah, I like the way you think, because if you've noticed too, the few appearances we've seen with Luchasaurus, he's still getting that old heel theme and the darkness behind him. So maybe this is all a fake, and he's always just going to be on the side of Christian Cage, and then Christian Cage gets the win over Jungle Boy. And then eventually we get to a match with a stipulation, like you said, on a Dynamite or one of their special shows that they do on free TV. So I actually agree with that take. So that's why I'm going with Christian Cage. This is the match with the best story going into it on the All Out card. They kind of had to scramble with all the injuries going on within the company, which it's understandable. Stuff happens, but this one is the one I'm probably most interested in, just because the story has been so good. In the absence of MJF, Christian Cage has kind of filled that void as the top heel on Dynamite. So you got to reward him, I think, with a win. Jungle Boy will get a win eventually, but I think we keep this going. And like you said, maybe Luchasaurus gets involved and Christian Cage gets the win.
Absolutely. And then you can even do Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus. So there's a lot of things you can do with this. It opens more possibilities, which is what you want for a wrestling company. You give Jungle Boy the win here. Where'd you go? There's nowhere else to go. So I think it does make sense. And I agree with you, by the way, the best story going into this show by far. I really enjoyed this storyline. It felt really personal and really fun to watch on our TV screens at home, even when it feels like it's got a little bit personal. But
I have a question for you, actually, if you don't mind.
Go for it. You're more welcome.
Yeah, so Christian Cage now has been featured a little bit on AEW, but for the most part, he wasn't getting a lot of TV time. With Edge kind of doing his thing in the WWE, am I the only one that was just a little bit wants Christian Cage back in WWE, or maybe that he didn't make that jump? Because I would love to see one last run with Edge and him in WWE.
Interesting question, and I will answer it. And we're 51 minutes into the stream here, and of course, I know a lot of the people that are here currently are for both WWE and AEW, so I'm not upsetting anybody. And of course, anyone that's watched this far, when they watch it on delay, well, you're here now. So yeah, I kind of feel the same. I feel Christian, I wanted him to stay in WWE. I never wanted him to go to AEW. When he first went there, I was like, cool, but I saw the reunion at the Royal Rumble with him and Edge. I was like, let's see where that would have gone. So I did feel that way, and I do feel up until a certain point that there was a lackluster period for Christian Cage. I felt like it wasn't from All Out last year up until this point now. I feel like we were building Christian for 9 months to get to the spot where he could be the guy that he is now. We've had to really wait patient to get to this where we are now. But now we're seeing Christian Cage doing his best stuff in AEW, and I'm really pleased to see, now really glad that he's there. And there's so many great matches that we can see with this Christian Cage with the AEW roster. And I've got to say, like you said, it's been built since, I believe, June 10th. This started with this here. But if you want to go that far, it actually started at Double or Nothing last year when Christian was eliminated from that Casino Battle Royale in the final two against Jungle Boy.
And what's crazy, too, this match is going to be awesome, but he was in a title match on last All Out. People might have forgotten that he faced Kenny Omega for the World Championship. So some would say it's a step down, but I think this is exactly where Christian Cage needs to be featured on AEW.
I totally agree. This is where he needs to be. Absolutely. Like I say, Richard, he's not going to give up, and he's got him ready for every match as well, which is what we love to see. Tony Khan might do the best Ric Flair's I'm not leaving with AEW going out of business.
Oh boy, Richard, you're a character.
He is indeed. He is indeed. I love it. Martin says Jungle Boy is going to be just a solo act without doubts, but what if Marco Stunt comes back and helps Jungle Boy?
I don't see it. I think Marco Stunt won't be making any more appearances in AEW.
It's a shame because the way he went out was kind of, it felt like he was just pushed to the side after a while, and it just wasn't given the opportunity at the end. But I'd like to have seen it. I was finding he had a role in AEW. Usually it was to lose to the big guys, but now to lose to Luchasaurus in the squash style would have made a lot of sense. So I don't know. Is what it is. Rick Red says, I've got Christian Cage winning with someone helping. A return of a heel Marco stunt would be a brilliant role. Marco likes Swoggle, and Christian Cage takes Marco under his wing to follow. I mean, to be fair, if you were to bring Marco stunt back and you can have the whole act of the Jungle Express without Jungle Boy, it could be interesting, I guess.
I think Marco's a little busy this weekend, though. I believe he's going to be a part of the GCW shows going on. So maybe since he's already booked for that, we might not be seeing him in AEW on Sunday.
There we go. And that's a man who's well in the know. He's going to a lot of shows, GCW this weekend as well as All Out. Rick Red saying, do we see the possibility of Christian Cage having a faction? You never know. Wrestling has been crazy lately. So crazy, I can't even get my words out.
It happens.
Randy Sam says, I got Jungle Boy winning, and then Christian Cage snaps like Ric Flair in 1995, and the Jungle Boy snaps Jungle Boy's ankle and snaps just like his old friend Edge in 05, the loose cannon in Christian character. Would be interesting if it was to go down like that. We'll have to wait and see.
All these references from the 90s. Sorry, guys, I missed the boat. I was born in 93. I didn't start watching wrestling until 2011, so a lot of these references are just going to go over my head.
Unfortunately, I've even forgot the Ric Flair of 1995, and I only watched Nitro there at the start of the pandemic. So, yeah, that's not good for me that I've forgotten that as well. But hey-ho, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Chris Williams says, I got Jungle Boy win. And where does Luchasaurus come in this story? As I said, I believe he's going to come in and help Christian get the victory at the end when he's got his tail between his legs.
Agreed.
There we go. That's what we think. And thank you for sharing your predictions of what you think. We'll go on to our next match. And we've got another personal rivalry going to this one. Another one I've actually really enjoyed the build to. It is, of course, Ricky Starks against Powerhouse Hobbs. Of course, formerly two members of Team Taz. The group has now disbanded. But, of course, there was just a segment where we had the turn done here with this team. Ricky Starks coming out as the heel, doing the open challenge for a couple of weeks. He then sort of won. He'd always say he'd want his next challenger. I believe it was Danhausen he won on the particular night he won, and then said, I'll take on the next challenger, which then was Hook, which of course was someone he was familiar with. And they had the friendly competition. Hook won the championship. Ricky Starks in that moment sort of turned babyface. And just at that moment, it felt like he had Powerhouse Hobbs behind his side that they could be a babyface tag team. Hobbs turned on him. And then from that point, we've built themselves up to this show. The only minor thing that I'm not a fan of is that Ricky Starks on the side has been feuding with the Factory, which for me are the most jobber group along with the Wingmen in AEW. But apart from that, this could be the moment where Ricky Starks could have a real breakout moment in AEW and become a top single star.
Absolutely. And I didn't realize that I wanted a babyface Ricky Starks since he was so good as that cocky heel until we got it. And every time he's on TV now, I'm like, this guy's a star. I want to root for Ricky Starks. And you would think that this would be his moment, and then we can kind of run with that face turn, and he can maybe get propelled to the TNT title scene if Wardlow ends up losing it, because I don't see Starks defeating Wardlow face versus face. It won't work. But eventually, I think that's the level Ricky Starks could get to, and I think maybe this is the step to get there. Him defeating Hobbs, get that in the past, then we move on. So I'm going to go with Ricky Starks here.
I feel the same. I mean, the thing is, Hobbs as well has a lot to gain out of this. Both have got a lot of potential to be top stars in the future of the company. I just feel that if you look at the heel now of who is ready, Hobbs is massively improving. I like his heel work even on the mic as well. But if you turn around and said to me, which one of these guys do you see going for even a TNT championship at some point in the near future, I would say that I believe Ricky Starks is that guy that will be most ready. I think he's got such charisma. I loved his video package he did, by the way, on that same night where he got the heel turned down, where he always is compared to The Rock, and he had sort of like the turtleneck going around there. That just, it was beautifully the way that it was panned around. So for me, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to go for Ricky Starks. And as I say, with almost every passing week now, hashtag push Ricky Starks. I want to see him towards the top.
Absolutely. And like you said, too, I don't think a loss here would really hurt Hobbs. I think he's got a lot of potential. He's going to be a good heel, but I think Ricky Starks just needs this moment a little more.
I think so as well. And whereas in the last match where it was a blood feud with Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, where does it go if the babyface wins? I think on this one, as we could still in the early stages of this, I think that it doesn't hurt Hobbs to lose it and then sort of attack Ricky after the match, and we continue this on into Dynamites.
Or maybe there's somebody else that joins up with Hobbs and after the match and beats up Ricky Starks, and that's how you continue the feud. I don't know who that could be, but maybe you kind of create another Team Taz without Starks, and Hobbs kind of is that focal point of that group.
Do you know what I'd like to see now? You mentioned that very quickly. I'd like actually Hobbs to destroy QT Marshall and just take over the Factory.
I love that. Anytime anybody destroys QT Marshall, that's a good piece of business right there.
There we are. We've got money being printed there from AEW. So, Tony Khan, if you're watching, you know what to do. Let's go into the comments there. And I'll tell you what, we might be outnumbered on this one. Jeff Samuel saying, Ricky Starks loses the match because the factory interferes and Powerhouse Hobbs wins. Richard is back again. Ricky Starks' match will be ruined by Jake Hager. Well, if Jake Hager does come through the curtain, you're probably right. Martin says that Hobbs might win. Remember, the beating the factory gave Starks. That'll be a factor in this match. Of course, they did. And wasn't it a ring that was done to smack Starks around the head very recently? Starks will be competing on Rampage this week as well. So I'm guessing there'll be a final bit of build going into the show.
Yeah, and that Rampage is going to be live, so maybe it actually will be entertaining because I haven't really gotten into the last couple months of Rampage.
Understandably, with that,
I was offered tickets too, $25 a pop to go to Rampage tomorrow night. It's only an hour and a half drive from me, so I live in the suburbs of the Chicagoland area here in Northwest Indiana, so it's not that far away. But with the GCW show starting at 11 o'clock Central Time, it would just be a lot going on because Rampage would go until 10. Yeah, and then I have to commute over to GCW. It's just too much going on there.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a big commute, but I understand that. The thing is, you've got so much wrestling in the area, and it's such a passionate place to watch professional wrestling as well. I'd love to get just a bit of your takes. You've seen quite a few shows in Chicago towards the end of the stream. If we have time, just to get the take of what it's like being there in the All-State Arena, because for me, it's one of my dream places I'd love to go to see a wrestling show. James says, I got Ricky Starks winning, and then Stokely Hathaway shows up. W. Morrissey beats down Ricky Starks. I know this sounds crazy, Kyle, but what if the Hathaway group, I can't even say his name anymore, has beats down Hobbs and Starks? Potentially, you never know, it could go down.
I could see that, James. That can definitely happen.
Could always happen. Chris says Ricky Starks wins, so people back more on it now. But Ricky Starks should be the next TNT champion.
There you go, Martin.
So there we go. We've got the hashtag in motion now. Push Ricky Starks. Christopher Run in the house, hope you're doing well, says Powerhouse Hobbs wins because of a Henry heel turn and Henry to be Hobbs' manager. Now, I like that pairing, actually. I think that could work well.
Wow. Okay. I like the fantasy thinking there, Chris. That's a good one.
I can just imagine it's time for the main event, Powerhouse Hobbs, every week on Rampage. Make it his show.
That's really the only reason I watch Rampage is to hear Mark Henry say that. That's worth the price of admission right there.
Absolutely. It's about the 40-minute mark in the show, then just switch out again for Rampage. Richard, Omega should be the AEW TNT champion after All Out.
Okay.
Why not? Why not? He may be a true. He could collect all the championships at this point, Kenny Omega, couldn't he? We'll go on to our next match. I think this one might be a short one, actually, if I'm honest. Yeah. The AEW World Tag Team titles, Swerve in Our Glory against the Acclaimed. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm surprised that the Arse Boys are not involved in this. The Gun Club for a freeway. I think that would have made more sense here because it feels a bit thrown together, this match. Do we feel that the AEW Tag Team Championships are being slightly overlooked a little bit in recent times?
I don't know if overlooked is the word. I think they just have a lot of other things going on that are a little bit more mainstream than what Lee and Swerve are doing for those tag team championships. Because I mean, they're great individually, but we know they've been teaming now for maybe 6 months or so. I still personally am not a huge fan of the pairing together. I'd like to see them do their own thing, but I don't know if they're being overlooked. I think they're properly where they should be right now.
I suppose that I think the division itself, I feel like that it's not given the spotlight maybe that it should be given. I think maybe the wording is not the correct there because the AEW tag team titles, in my opinion, feel almost a bit of an afterthought since they won the championships. We thought for a longest time that when the Bucks were champions, it was going to be Bucks versus FTR. And that felt like for all the gold that was all over the place. So then there's 4 tag team championships that could have been involved in one match. That's not the case here. We've got Swerve and Glory that are almost saying that the Acclaimed, you'll be the team that will do. You feel like you're the team that are worthy to have a match in this spot rather than a team necessarily earning it either. Acclaimed are in the top 5, but to my knowledge, I don't know if they're the top 1 or 2 in the tag team division. But at the same time, what I would say on the flip side, I do think it's going to be a lot of fun as well. And more than anything, I'm a big fan of the Acclaimed. I do see them as future tag team champions. I do see them as a team that will be at the head of the tag team division one day. And I do think that Max Caster is going to have an almighty rap to come to the ring for Swerve in Our Glory if he's going to be on an all-out show. Imagine when he does it for Dynamite every week. What is he going to say here? Maybe it could be something to do with Triple H tampering. Who knows?
He might do that. And if he does, we'll say that Max Caster watches SCW because he's listening to you. That's what's going on there. But maybe the reason the tag team division has not felt like a focal point is because they just introduced the trios titles, and that's kind of been their main focus going into this show. And they'll revisit the, traditional tag team division after All Out. But with that being said, I like the Acclaimed as baby faces. I think people want to root for them because they're so entertaining. It's just not their time. I think it's Lee and Swerve that are going to retain here. And then we can move on maybe to bigger and better things like an FTR. I would like to see the Lucha Brothers get back into the title scene because they kind of just been having these side feuds. But if you go back to last year's All Out, their match with the Young Bucks was one of my favorite matches to see live in person. So if we can get the Lucha Brothers back in the tag team title scene, I think that'd be good for business as well. But for now, Swerve and Our Glory, I think, is going to retain.
I agree with you. I think Swerve and Our Glory are going to retain. I just think the performance are fantastic, Swerve and Our Glory. I think that when they won the titles was amazing. I just feel, like you said, it's been in the background when you've got the trios titles going on. Hopefully they will become more of a focal point. I don't want it to have a lackluster title reign. It feels sometimes when it's not the Bucks involved, it doesn't seem as important with some of the championship reigns. So I'm hoping that won't be the case. But the best, probably my favorite comment up to this point, Silk saying, "Scissor Daddy-O."
Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it indeed there. Gotta love that indeed there. We've got Martin Chris saying, unfortunately, any other tag team champions that aren't the Young Bucks are usually in the barn burner. That could be the case. So, yeah. Richard, Carl might be injured. Well, I don't think Tony Khan will be involved in the match, to be fair, but I always appreciate
If he got injured, it'd probably be a nose injury for all the cocaine that he's apparently doing.
Allegedly.
Allegedly there. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. Chris says, how you feel about Dexter Lumis in this story with The Miz? Well, this is an AEW stream, but we will do it very quickly for you. I don't necessarily know where it's going anymore. We were very, very intrigued with the Dexter Lumis stuff at the start here on this channel. And I've got to say, in the last couple of weeks, I feel it's gone a bit off track with Dexter going to NXT to Indy Hartwell. Now we're sort of showing up in the back of the car with The Miz. I thought that we were going to get a real sort of psychotic, real heel side, a different side to the character instead of a goofy Dexter Lumis. But I'm willing to sort of give it time and see where it's going to go. But Kyle, what are your feelings with it?
I like it. And we talked a little bit about it on our last episode. So if you want to go check that out, the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast at Pod on the Mark, that's where I explain more about that. But I like the way they've kind of introduced Dexter Lumis to WWE. It's different than, just calling somebody up for an open challenge, and it fits his character very well.
Absolutely, indeed. There, Martin says here the Acclaimed are at the right place, but wrong time. I think that's very true. There, Martin. We do agree with that, and possibly my favorite combination here of a comment here from Silk.
There it is.
That's the Sesame Daddy-O in a perfect way there, and we've got hang on. Before I go over there, we've got a new comment coming just a bit click on the other one. Jameson Burns says, Tony Khan is injured. Okay, fair enough. Bobby Fish has been released and heading back to NXT. Haven't heard he's going back to NXT, but heard that potentially he may not have his contract renewed. We did discuss that at the very start of the stream, but we'll have to wait and see as it will go down. Yeah. Christopher Run as well says the Acclaimed wins and then Swerve Lee will turn on Keith Lee, and also the Sesame Carl and SCW. We're here for all of you for that one, but at the same time, yeah, I mean potentially that heel turn possibly will happen at some stage, I would think, when they eventually use the tag titles. Richard goes on to say here, how will Drew and Roman stop the Clash of the Castle? Richard, I did the Clash of the Castle the other day, so I'd recommend you go and check that out. And just to sort of save Kyle on this particular occasion as well, he's going to be actually predicting Clash of the Castle on his own stream later on this evening. So drop into the link in the description of this video. Click on to On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, subscribe to them. You can get his thoughts on everything Clash of the Castle and more from All Out later on this evening. But in the meantime, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about, well, more trios action.
Let's do it.
We're going to talk about FTR and Wardlow against Jay Lethal and Impact Wrestling's own, the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, I'm going to be honest, at the start, I was really shocked to see the Machine Guns put into this spot here because they're baby faces in Impact. They're not heels, so they're going to be kind of playing more the heel role here. But I think they'll get a big pop with a known audience with them. But what are your thoughts? Have you seen much of the Motor City Machine Guns? Do you follow much of Impact?
No, I don't follow Impact really at all. But I saw the Motor City Machine Guns work on an indie or two, and they were at Ric Flair's last match. So I do know that they are very entertaining in ring, but I don't know much about their character. But this match itself is kind of weird to me. I feel like they don't really know how to book Wardlow as a champion. So they're like, oh, well, let's just throw him into a match with FTR because we don't know what to do with FTR right now. It's a match to have a match. It's going to be good in ring, but other than that, I really don't care for it. Why should I care? I want there to be a legitimate contender to Wardlow. I think that's where he should be, more focused in on. So I don't know much about the Motor City Machine Guns, but I'm sure it'll be a good one.
All I can say is that for not knowing much about the Machine Guns, I'm probably now going to hype you up a little bit too much, but I'll do my best not to. They have been one of the best tag teams for well over a decade in the entire industry. They've done some fantastic matches in Impact. If you ever get the opportunity to go and check out their series with Beer Money in, I think, 2010, 2011, incredible. They've had some great matches recently in Impact with Bullet Club from New Japan, and even with the likes of Violent by Design and other teams like this. But I think personally, this match has been kind of thrown together of two matches in one. It feels to me like Wardlow versus Jay Lethal was one option, and FTR versus the Motor City Machine Guns could have been the other. But to get everyone on the card, they're thrown together as a trios match, and also reminding us that there was this trio once known as the Pinnacle. Had you forgotten they existed like I did?
Yeah, I totally did too. Now that you say it, it's like, oh yeah, we are getting the Pinnacle here, but they really didn't give them enough shine. I really wish they would have done more with that faction as a whole, because the talent was there, just the stories weren't.
Yeah, absolutely. I was originally thinking as well that we were going to get Satnam Singh in this match and Wardlow was finally going to powerbomb him. Do you reckon we might still find a way to get that spot if Singh isn't ready for a full match, but Wardlow keeps promising it?
I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it? I think we all want to see it, so why not do it at All Out? It'll be a good way to get the crowd into it for sure, because I'm not into the match at face value right now. Just not.
Fair play to you. Well, then let's go straight into a prediction. Let's go straight to the comments. What would be your prediction then for this then? Would it be the Pinnacle or would it be Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns?
Got to be FTR and Wardlow. I mean, they're the champions. They're the baby faces. It makes sense to me for them to win.
Absolutely. I'm going to say exact same prediction, but I do have one more question that's just popped in my mind. Do you see FTR potentially, as they're facing an Impact tag team, going for another tag team title in another promotion after this?
Yeah, I could definitely say that's possible, because they can just turn into the belt collectors of the tag team division. Who knows? Maybe they'll show up on Monday Night Raw, Papa H, get on the phone, a little bit of tampering going on, and have them just take over and beat the Usos, because who else is going to beat the Usos? We don't really know, so might as well.
They might as well. I think I'd be down for that idea. If you're still around, Paul Levesque, make it happen. Make it happen indeed. But let's go into the chat then. We've got a comment that's coming in. Let's all scissor each other. Let's get weird. We're getting weird here now. I like it. I like it.
The OTM effect.
Absolutely, indeed. It still says this should be awesome. I do think it's going to be a really good match here. Richard again says the Motor City Machine Guns are unable to compete. Then a debuting AEW tag team to be an AEW All Out from the bottom of my heart. He really hopes that this show is going to fail. He really does.
He'll probably end up watching it too and just hate tweeting it.
We do see that a lot with people. But I always say enjoy wrestling. Whatever show it is, have fun and enjoy it, because there is stuff for everybody on every promotion. Christopher says AEW versus TNA OG. Steve, who would have ever thought? And Mickey returned at the Rumble. The Forbidden Door is kicked open. It truly has been, once again. And not the first time that AEW and Impact have worked together. Would you like to see, actually, we'll say this now, because you said you're not too familiar with Impact. What about an Impact versus AEW Forbidden Door show at some stage? Are you exposed to new talent?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I don't watch New Japan either. So that was kind of just introducing New Japan to me in a way, doing that Forbidden Door show. So I'm definitely not against them doing a different style just with the Impact talent. They've kind of did it a little bit when Christian Cage held the TNA World Championship, or whatever they call their championship. Sorry, I don't watch Impact, obviously, but they did it a little bit and they teased it. But if they can commit to it and have some stories for maybe 3 months, yeah, I'd be here for it.
Yeah, I would be down for it as well. I mean, I do think AEW do their best when they focus on themselves, but it's nice to see other people interact with them, and we've seen it with New Japan, like you say. I'd be down for it with Impact as well. Yeah. Christopher says, and Carl, is the right match going to be good? Why didn't they go a good promo package for the Motor City Machine Guns? I mean, that's also something very true, because we don't see enough video packages, in my opinion, in AEW. Do you reckon that would help to make, say, someone like yourself that's not as familiar with this team? Yeah,
and I think that's something that WWE does the best, is their video packages and getting you invested in a match you probably weren't interested in or you didn't know about the talent. And that's definitely something I think AEW can do more of. And this would be a perfect match to do it and show us a little bit more about the Motor City Machine Guns.
Certainly, indeed. There, Martin Career says it's a scissor party. Yes, it is. I love it. It's almost New Day-esque as well. Fantastic.
Everybody's invited.
Everybody is indeed here. Christopher says, I got Motor City Machine Guns and Jade to win. Don't care about Wardlow anymore, and FTR should have been given the fight. Lee and Swerve instead. And they should have been that spot. I do agree.
Yeah. I agree. And Wardlow has lost his spark, I guess you could say, ever since he became the champion. It's just like, all right, now what are we doing?
Absolutely, indeed. There, Chris says I got Wardlow and the Ripper Batista. I'm guessing is like a simulation of Batista and FTR, aka the Ripper for the Rock and Roll Express to win. Don't care. There we go. So some people are not as invested in this match either. I would agree with you. Would agree with you. They're not as in face value. We'll do the last couple of comments though, then we'll move on to our next match. Silk says FTR for the W, and yes, invade WWE and take them titles off the Usos. Absolutely, indeed. Many would like to see it. Silk says FTR is the most over tag team right now and deserve a better matchup than this match.
Agreed.
Again, agreed wholeheartedly. Randy Sam got Wardlow and FTR. I can see the Moxley Machine Guns win, but I highly doubt it. I think they'll have a great showing, though. That's one thing I will say with that. And Martin said, I didn't know how the Moxley Machine Guns fit in this match. Aren't they baby faces in Impact? They are baby faces in Impact, but they are close with Sanjay Dutt, who spent a lot of his career in Impact. I'm guessing that's how they're going to make it work. But their style suits to a babyface tag team. So it'll be interesting how they'll make it work as heels. But we'll move on anyway in the meantime to our next match. And it's another trios match. It is the House of Black taking on Darby Allin, Sting, and Miro. Of course, Miro got the mist in his eyes at the Forbidden Door show. Brody King has been feuding with Darby Allin a lot recently. They've had some barn burner matches, including the coffin match. My first thought to you on this one is this another match that do we care so much about this match?
I don't. And maybe this is, I'm not being a hater of AEW, by the way. I enjoy all wrestling, and I will be critical of WWE as well, but I don't like the way they've used House of Black so far in AEW. I think there's a lot more potential with this group. So you the Darby and Sting thing was fun at the time, but now I feel like it's expired a little bit. So I want to see a little bit of a shakeup here, whether it's Sting kind of turning on Darby and they can go off and do their own thing. But House of Black really needs a monumental win. They need a statement win here at All Out. And we don't know what the truth about these Malakai Black rumors. He's obviously going to be having a match here, so I don't believe them to be true. I'd like to see more Buddy Matthews on TV. I feel like he's only had 9 matches ever since joining AEW. That's another talent that needs to be showcased a little more. So let's get a little bit behind House of Black, make them credible, because I don't think they are credible at the moment, and get them with the win here in this trios match.
Joe, I wholeheartedly agree with everything you've just said there. I think that House of Black has so much more potential than what we're seeing in AEW. Buddy Matthews should be competing more. Brody King has had an opportunity to really shine on his own. I like that's been mentioned actually in story. It's one thing I will say. I like the fact that Darby Allin said it's like as soon as they realize they don't need Malakai Black, the sooner they can get on with their own careers. If there is truth in this Malakai rumor, let's just play ball from it. We're going to play ball. If he's asked for his release, if any of this stuff is true, and this is why he lost last week to Alex Reynolds in the trios tournament, and then perhaps maybe he's the one that loses here, and House of Black sort of disband if you want, and they feel they've been held back and they've got a chance to break away and do their own thing. Would it then make sense then for the Redeemer Miro to get his revenge on Malakai Black and for Sting and Darby Allin also to definitively beat this trio?
It would. And if you're looking at it on paper, who's like the biggest star in this match? For me personally, it is Miro. I think he's got the most potential in the company. He should be a world champion someday. So him getting revenge here makes a lot of sense. I would rather see House of Black get some momentum, and you can protect Miro still in a loss, have Darby Allin take the pin, because that guy, it doesn't matter if he loses, he's still going to be over.
You make a lot of points. And do you know what? You actually may have just swayed my prediction, because I'm going to be honest with you, I was going with Miro along with Sting and Darby Allin for the victory, because Sting tends to win a lot of the matches he's in. But you may have swayed me. Do I go with my heart or do I go with my head?
You sound like my co-host Erica Marini. I always seem to convince her. So maybe I swayed you here. Where are you going to go?
You've got a bit of swaying. But, I mean, I do know sometimes that she has the ability to have a prediction where you can go back and change later. Would I be right in saying that?
She does. It's her Money in the Bank that she has every prediction show. So you'll probably see one tonight.
Erica, if you don't mind, I'm going to borrow that Money in the Bank just for this stream here.
There we go.
I'm going to go with my head here. I'm going to go with the group of Miro, Sting, and Darby Allin for the victory. But that Money in the Bank is going in the second if House of Black do it, because I do want to see him pick up the dub.
There we go. Love it.
There we go, indeed. Shout out as well. And shout out to Tucker as well. Obviously, we've not seen him in the chat yet, but obviously, fantastic trio, by the way. Recommend to go and subscribe to him. As I said, they will be on 7 p.m. Central Time, will be the time that they'll be live later on. So we'll quickly go through some of the chat here and see what people got to say about this match. And we've got a couple of matches left to go. Silk says, still seeing Sting to turn on Darby and join the House of Black. Is that something you'd like to see?
Yeah, that if there were to be any turn, that would be the one I want to see in the match.
Absolutely. And we've got breaking news. Kyle, this match is cancelled because Malakai Black has been released. Check Fightful's Twitter. Okay, we'll check their Twitter and see if that's
did just check my phone, and Sean Ross Sapp has a tweet, if you don't mind me reading it out.
Please.
So I'm going to address what I've heard specifically about some of the rumored AEW names that requested their release. It is on FightfulSelect.com. He didn't say anything else, but apparently there are numerous talents that have requested their release. And I believe Sean Ross Sapp when he reports these things. So I'm very interested to see who those names could be.
Well, if that is the case, then the money in the bank could be used for, well, we didn't need to use it. Maybe I need to keep it back for the meantime. I
might need to use it too.
Absolutely. Well, we've gone through the match. We've gone for our predictions. I'll tell you what, we will still read what people have said here because let's be fair, people have put in some comments. Let's see what people have got to say. Let's be fair on the match in case those rumors are not true. Sting turn on Darby and join the House of Black. He said in the promo yesterday, I want change. So that could be a way to do it. Ransom then says House of Black wins. So that could be interesting. Also, Chris Williams says House of Black wins and does CJ Perry shop with Miro. She hasn't up to this point. I couldn't. Maybe one day she might because Julie Hart has been in the corner. Julie Hart obviously did touch the Redeemer at one point. He said, only my wife does that. It would make sense. Yeah,
and I think, I don't know what the interview was, who she was talking with. It might have been busted open, but CJ Perry did say she wants to get back into a ring, whether it be AEW or a return to WWE.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to jump into this one here. Silk says Raj Giri has said that his release has been refused. There we go. So there's something there then, but we'll have to wait and see how it will play out. But House of Black wins. We all know that Darby Allin's team will win, but also Sting will win because it's Sting, the legend, there for us. Martin says Miro has to get the win right. Is it just me, or has there been a lack of time to develop some of these matches?
There has.
Definitely has been 100%. And Jeff Samuel here with the comment says, Monday Night Raw going to be interesting. Watch out, Carl. Wow, is it right? Well, if Malakai Black was released, I mean, I personally would put him on SmackDown myself, but that's just me. But maybe he could fit the Judgment Day.
I tell you what, yeah, that's a great pairing right there, too. If Malakai Black got back to WWE, I think Triple H would strap the rocket to him because his presentation in NXT was fantastic.
Absolutely. Richard, we have to give you a shout out again, my friend. Says House of Black destroying Omega, then the Bucks will join the House of Black. If only, my friend. If Richard had the pencil, I'm pretty sure AEW would be out of business. But I think
I might just give Richard the MVM just because he's making me laugh the most.
There we go. Well, I tell you what, then that's an incentive for others to come in there and get your comments in, get them good. But we like the serious ones as well. I mean, obviously, but at the same time, Richard, possibly within a shout. We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, we'll go on to our next match then. This one definitely not going to be called off. It is the TBS Championship. We've got Jade Cargill, undefeated Jade, going against Athena. Another match that has got some long-term build. This one been building since Athena debuted at Double or Nothing earlier this year. What are your thoughts with this one? Have you enjoyed the build? I mean, it's been unlucky Chris Statlander injured again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the build. I don't like the way Athena's kind of been presented so far in AEW. I thought she would have felt like a bigger deal. Same thing goes for Ruby Soho when they acquired her. I thought she was going to be a big-time player, and they really haven't made her feel like one. But when I look at this match, I'm thinking to myself, who's going to beat Jade Cargill? If it's not Athena, who is it? Because the talent isn't there right now. Maybe it was Chris Statlander, but unfortunately, she got injured again. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, I would like eventually Jade to go after the AEW Women's Championship. I feel like she needs to get her time to shine there. So why not go crazy? Let's have a surprise. Let's shock the world. It's got to happen eventually. I'm going with Athena to win this TBS title just because I don't think there's anybody else that's credible enough to take it from Jade. You get a surprise victory here. The whole Twitterverse will go crazy. All Out Arena, wherever they're at now, Arena it's called. Sorry, not All Out Arena. The Now Arena will go bonkers. Let's get weird. That's the motto for this episode. Let's get weird. Athena to win.
Absolutely. We're going to get weird indeed. Do you know what? A lot of things make a lot of sense of what you're saying. I do agree. Athena's not been presented the way I would have liked to have seen. I'd like to have seen a bit more of star power with her, maybe a few more wins on Dynamite on this. This has been, been more of a rampage feud, it feels, to this point, in my personal opinion, in the most recent weeks anyway. Jade Cargill, for me, is someone that I think needs to be in the title picture, the top title picture. And like you said there, if Toni Storm was to win it, I'd like to see her go for it. I originally thought that this was going to be a three-way, and that's how Jade would lose the championship without being pinned. I think that's the best way to get that championship off her. But at the same time, we are one-on-one here. She has got to lose eventually. Athena could be the one, because, again, I don't see who else it would be.
Right.
But I feel that with Thunder Rosa now, with the injury, knowing Tony Khan, we might be delaying things a bit, because they delayed it with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker before, when they did the big rivalry like last year. It took them a year to get there again. So I reckon they may delay this to another show or two. So I'm going to say Jade Cargill was going to retain.
That is the safe and probably the smart pick. I just kind of want things to switch up, and then Jade can maybe pivot over to the other championship. But Steve, you don't mind me breaking this, because I have my co-host Tucky, who is a subscriber to Fightful. It's kind of what NX Steve was saying. It's not just Malakai Black. Miro apparently requested his release as well, and he was shot down too. So two people, Malakai Black and Miro, both asked for their release and got denied. And Bobby Fish's release is official now.
Wow. So what's your initial take when you hear that?
I kind of wish they granted the release, but I don't blame AEW for denying it, because Miro could definitely be a world champion there. But, man, that would have been something too. I'm sure they saw what Triple H is doing now. The past month of WWE television has been very unpredictable and entertaining. So maybe they think with him in charge, they can go back over there and grass is greener.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think all of them would do pretty well if that was the case. But at the same time, that's
crazy.
It is crazy indeed. As I said, that's the breaking news that's been given. And Tucky, thank you for sharing that as well. Then obviously something you probably talk a bit more detail. We talked about Bobby Fish earlier, but now knowing that is the case, it's a shame, isn't it? Because we won't get the Undisputed Elite against the Elite. That was something that was a hot build for nearly a whole calendar year.
We thought we were going to get it, and we definitely did not, which is an extreme disappointment, like you said. So now it's like, Bobby Fish, what does he do? I guess we'll find out. Maybe he goes with Roddy over in NXT and kind of fights the Diamond Mine. We'll see.
That could be fun. That would be a good way. I'd like to see that. That's what I'd like to see with Bobby Fish going forward. Maybe the others may jump back over at some stage and we get the Undisputed Era back in WWE. But I kind of agree with you. I kind of would like to have seen all of them get their wish. But it's not
breaking
the case.
News is wild. Wrestling right now is just insane. Wrestling
is insane, and do you know what? I think it makes it a lot of fun. It really, really does. I wonder if MJF was one of those. We'll have to wait and see. We'll go into the comments though, because we've got this Martin saying, isn't Richard making AEW the biggest babyface underdog? Certainly indeed there. We can't disagree with that one bit at all there. And of course, Richard does go on to say that possible Jade wins and Storm turns on Athena to pop the AEW world. That goes too far for the first time. That almost feels like the most positive comment you've said about AEW all night.
Might be.
It might just be. Anthony, thank you for checking out the stream. You're doing well. Says, do you guys think a superstar like John Moxley really needs the AEW title to make himself more legitimate, or he's okay without a title? To be honest, he doesn't need one, but he's had a great summer with it, and he's earned the right, hasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely has. I like him as a champion better than doing anything else. He'll just have blood matches with everybody, and then at a point, it gets old for me seeing that.
Absolutely indeed. Jeff reckons Monday Night Raw is going to be interesting with after Clash. It certainly could be. There's more rumors, names that could return as well, including Braun Strowman as well there. So yeah, it could be a fun show to watch. Silk says Jade to retain. That's a prediction there. Jeff also says got Athena to win, and Jade Cargill goes on a more brutal route for a character. I'm down for that. And watch out, Jade got that bat with her, Kyle.
That's fine. She can hit me. I don't care.
He's not really heel, just so everybody knows. Like, Kyle is awesome, just so you know.
Yeah.
Martin says if Athena doesn't win here, and also Hayter doesn't win as well, I would give Hayter a face turn and then make her beat Jade at Full Gear. I love that suggestion.
Yeah, I like that too. That's a good one, Martin.
That's a good one indeed. That could be MVM material. That could be. Silk says apparently Andrade and Bryan Danielson were two other names who supposedly asked for the releases. Take that for Twitter gossip. Wouldn't be surprised with Andrade, but Bryan Danielson?
Yeah, because this is what Bryan Danielson wanted to do, right? Was just wrestle a different style, and he's getting the opportunity to do so in AEW. That one probably surprises me the most.
That would surprise me the most, absolutely. Silco's going to say that Carcass turn the heat. I like that.
I mean, that's fair. That is fair.
That is fair indeed. They gotta love it. Chris says they got Jade Cargill win. Rick Red here saying I got Jade Cargill wins, and Athena can get off my TV and go back to AEW Dark. Well, not a fan of Athena. There we go. Not a fan at all.
You heard it here.
Jeff says we got Worlds Collide pay-per-view. Bobby Fish helps Roderick Strong this Sunday. Roderick's not in a match, but maybe helps the Creed brothers. That could be a suggestion there, Jeff.
Better get him on a plane ticket right now because you don't got much time to get over there.
Not at all. Anthony says this whole situation with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, I blame Toni. He gave Baker free reign on what to do in her promos without filtering it before it went to live television there. Interesting. I mean, the feud was kind of delayed for a long time, but we got it in the end, thankfully. But rumors are they're not meant to be best friends backstage. There is meant to be a bit of heat that I've seen on Wrestle Talk, but we'll take it for what it is. Yeah, it does happen. Not everyone's going to get on. But we've got 2 matches to go. Bryan Danielson is one of them. Should we go on to that next?
Let's do it.
Let's do it then. In fact, we'll just get to the right barrier there. In fact, it's going to be the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, versus the Lionheart, Chris Jericho, on who is the best technical wrestler. Who would Stu Hart from the Hart Dungeon pick? Of course, Jericho, one of the last graduates there. Owen Hart, the late Owen Hart, of course. Who would he pick? Obviously, Bryan Danielson is one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, great in ring. But Chris Jericho, he has reinvented himself. He has been one of the GOATs of all time, kept himself relevant for over 30 years. He's brought the Lionheart character back here, which William Regal always makes reference to as the character that beat him a lot in 1997 in WCW. I'm liking the way this match has been put together. And let's not forget the wild card that is Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia getting the dream match with Daniel Bryan, winning the first time. Of course, they got the 2 out of 3 falls match. His dream come true here to have 30 minutes on the show with Bryan Danielson. Then, of course, Jericho ruined the magic moment of the handshake. We had sort of dissension. Was Daniel Garcia going to be Blackpool Combat Club? Was he going to stay with the JAS? He said for now he's going to stay with the JAS, but on the go-home show, of course, Jericho said, he said to Jericho, you don't need to cheat to win. You can just be Chris Jericho. But Jericho said, it's true, but always fair in love and war at this moment. Bryan Danielson, watch your back. Jericho went out of the chair. Garcia stopped him. And Jericho ate a knee for his troubles. This is going to be interesting. I'm quite looking forward to this match on Sunday.
Yeah, other than the Christian Cage match, this might be the second best story going into All Out. And like you said, Daniel Garcia is the X factor here. And the obvious choice would be for him to cost Jericho and join the Blackpool Combat Club because it's a better fit for him. And it might be too obvious, but I do think that is the direction this is probably going to go. And I plan on bringing my Bryan Danielson appreciation shirt that you can get on the OnTheMarkWrestlingPodcast.com. I will be wearing that this weekend because I appreciate Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him. He, for my money, is the best in ring. If he did request his release, I wouldn't be mad once again, him going back to WWE because Daniel Bryan was one of the best in the past decade over there on the other side of the pond. But for this match itself, I think it has to be Danielson with Garcia turning on Chris Jericho finally and getting his spot in the BCC. What do you think?
See, I thought about that, and then I thought about another idea as well. So it depends. I think it's one of those 2 avenues because Garcia could also be the reason why Jericho wins. Maybe it could be a case of that. What if it could be 2 different ways they could do it? I'm going to go to 2 different scenarios and then in the same format. So Bryan Danielson could be the one that doesn't need to cheat, but perhaps Jericho brings the chair in and Danielson picks up the chair and Garcia takes the chair away from Jericho. That costs Danielson the match and Jericho wins. Or simply he comes in and all along it's a ruse. He was always a part of the JAS and helps Jericho. But perhaps we can get to Dynamite. And we had talked about this Triple H Randy Orton thing earlier on of Evolution. Maybe he's then kicked out of the JAS because Jericho got what he wanted, got his win on pay-per-view and realizes that Garcia actually could be a weak link and gets rid of him out of there.
Yeah, no, that definitely could be a story they tell. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I could see it.
For me, this is one of the matches I'm really on the fence with. So you said that you think Danielson and Garcia could be the way to go.
Yeah, I'm going with Danielson here with Garcia joining the faction over there.
Well, I'm going to now use Erica's Money in the Bank. Now, this is the time really to use it then now. This is the place. But I'm going to go for Jericho. I'm going to say that for some reason, Garcia is going to accidentally help Jericho win or help Jericho win. I think that'll be the scenario I'll go with. But that's also just to be controversial, just to go on the other side of things.
Play devil's advocate. I like it.
You got to do it sometimes. And we've got quite a few comments that have come flying in. Anthony, we'll get your one up first here. I think that this is where we see Daniel Garcia turn on Jericho and join the Blackpool Combat Club, because to me, he fits the Blackpool Combat Club than the Jericho Appreciation Society. He is a pro wrestler. He's not a sports entertainer, is he?
No, he is not. He
does fit that group more. I think he'll eventually be in the Blackpool Combat Club, even if he helps Jericho on Sunday. But we'll see how we go down. Silk says, hard to call this, but I would say Danielson. Fair to play. Fair to play.
Good pick.
Richard, will there be a tag team match with Mox and a wrestler that looks like a heel, Brian Pillman, and a turncoat heel wrestler?
There we go.
The Varsity Blondes are not on the show, and Mox is in the main event, Richard. But don't worry, we'll get to Mox. You've got nothing to worry about there. And we've got Chris Williams here, says Chris Jericho to win, and if Bryan was to leave, I will throw my computer and happy he comes back to WWE. Bring his Born for Greatness theme on pay-per-view would be epic. Bryan versus Ciampa and Bryan versus Johnny Gargano, 2 matches I would love to see, along with Pete Dunne. I'd love to see that and Pete Dunne as well.
Yeah, that would be great.
They would be great indeed. Marta Correa, I know I'm a bit off topic, but did you both see that Darby made a tweet saying one word wrestling? In fact, it's been put on our screen right now. Thank you, Carl, for doing so.
Yeah, that's an interesting time tweet right there by the WWE.
That is indeed. Not just sports entertainment. I love it as well. Absolutely. Brick Red says, sorry for being rude, but I'm a heel. We don't mind a heel. We don't mind a heel in the chat.
I respect the heel work.
We have the spirit that, wrestling has good and bad people in there. So, feel free. But, if you're the heel, you're the heel. Chris Jericho win because there'll be a swerve. Daniel Garcia will help Jericho. Garcia honor Jericho all this time. And Chris Jericho and Garcia low blow Jericho. Jericho is used as Jericho would used to do. Okay, so we see Garcia turn on Jericho that way. Garcia actually has a Pure Rules Championship match on Dynamite next week as well.
Oh, he does. Who's he facing?
It'll be Wheeler and Garcia.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That should be fun.
That'd be good,
fun. That would be a good fit. Maybe Blackpool Combat Club against Blackpool Combat Club if it goes the way maybe suggested.
Respectful bout between the two.
Bryan versus Gunther. Whose chest is going to hurt? Bryan's, I would have thought.
Yeah, you would think Bryan.
You would think, yeah. But that would be awesome indeed. It'd be great to see it. But I tell you what, let's get to the main event, because I know you've got another stream you need to do soon. So I want to make sure that we get everything in there for us, Carl, and appreciate you giving all the time you have for us here today. Absolutely. But let's talk about Jon Moxley versus CM Punk. No longer a unification match for the AEW World Championship. It's a straight one-on-one match. But there was another factor in this match. It's Jon Moxley versus CM Punk and Chicago. Chicago is a story in this match. And of course, why wouldn't it be? Of course, we had... I think this kind of stems back, if we go back a little bit, and I might throw some fantasy booking in this in a little bit of places as well where I can, if I can, during this topic. But to start with, this started at Double or Nothing. CM Punk finally won the championship. Obviously, I think Tony Khan wanted CM Punk, the Summer of Punk, once again, like they had in WWE, to have his version of it. But of course, CM Punk broke bones in his foot. He shattered his foot. He had to sort of relinquish the championship, or he offered to do so. And they were said in the meantime, we're doing an interim champion. Moxley was the one that stood in. I think he beat who did he beat? There was someone beat Kyle O'Reilly after Kyle O'Reilly beat the Casino Battle Royale to then win the championship against Tanahashi at Forbidden Door, which was a show you were at.
Yep.
And of course, then Moxley from then has gone on a tear. He's beat the likes of Rouge. He's beat Brody King. He's had some great matches. He's been a dominant champion, and some have said this guy should be the champion. He's not just an interim champion. He should be. And Moxley hated the term interim champion. He said he was the champion. It got to the point CM Punk returned. We eventually got a little bit of a stare down. It felt like we were building up a match between these two. CM Punk was getting a bit salty, was calling out Hangman Page as well, perhaps teasing we could be getting a heel turn further down the line. We eventually got where these two have the unification match in the middle of Dynamite. It felt like a Goldberg-Hogan moment from the 90s, that, instead of doing it on pay-per-view, which was, I know was an old reference there, Carl, so I do apologize. But at the same time, though, now we've got to a situation Punk lost in about 2.5, 3 minutes. It was literally a squash match. Hurt his foot again, but his foot is 100%. This is where we've got the building block here on this Dynamite. This is the new 100% CM Punk. He's going in as the underdog. He's going in as almost the Chicago's babyface. Can he pull it together and get the big victory over Jon Moxley? And Moxley said CM Punk used to call himself the 60-minute man. He now has shown he's not that. He beat him in quick succession. He reckoned that he could go for another 57 minutes, Jon Moxley. Maybe we're getting a long match here at All Out. And of course, Jon Moxley had an open contract for anyone to sign. Well, no one signed it. I thought we'd get a 24/7 division scenario of everyone running down. We didn't get none of that. But instead, we got Ace Spade. I forget his name now.
I'm blanking on his name too. I just know the face. That's it.
CM Punk's trainer came down and took it. We didn't know that. He came later in the night. CM Punk looked like he may retire, walk away. But of course, then it was to a situation where he was told, no, you're not giving up. And CM Punk, he got the belief. He came in and said, I'm going to do this. He went into the crowd. You're fighting me and you're fighting Chicago. I think all in all, this has been built together really, really well, despite the fact they've had a real lack of time. This is a story that could have been told over 6 months. They've had to tell it almost in 6 weeks, but I think they've told a good job of it nonetheless. But I think this can also determine how this match finishes, maybe, and how good it'll be when we look back at it in time. But what are your thoughts of Moxley and Punk, the build, and what we are to where we are now?
So like you said, basically, with it being sort of rushed, I think they did a good job. And I was very confused on why you have that 3-minute match happen on Dynamite. But I think the story makes sense for the Punk just to get that extra motivation from his trainer to get him locked in when he is in his home city and then win that title back. I think that's where this is heading. It only makes sense to me for CM Punk to get the win in his home city because like NX Steve said in the comments, I don't know where CM Punk goes from here if he were to lose. Does Punk just retire? Because that would be the only other option I could see, because I don't know who Punk would feud with if he were to lose this title opportunity against Jon Moxley. Like you said, the original plan probably was do the summer of Punk. Well, we might have to do the fall of CM Punk, but I think with it being in Chicago, you're going to get a positive reaction regardless of how he gets the victory. He could have a heelish way of going about things. It's still going to go over with Chicago because they are going to be loyal to CM Punk always. I mean, when CM Punk fought John Cena in 2011, CM Punk was the heel, but he was treated like the babyface, and that's how it's always going to be. But I would love to see CM Punk show signs of turning heel. Even if he does officially turn heel here in Chicago, that would be fantastic. But for me, it has to be CM Punk walking out with the championship. I would be very surprised if Moxley won, and I'm not taking anything away from Jon Moxley because I think this second reign has honestly felt more prestigious, I guess you could say, for Moxley. I feel like he definitely is the champion, the guy in AEW. It's just if CM Punk were to lose, like NXT said, what do we do? So I'm going with CM Punk. I'm going to be rooting for CM Punk. No disrespect to Jon Moxley because I'm a fan of him as well. But when in Chicago, you're going with CM Punk. That's just how it is.
And the place is going to be electric for it. I love the fact that it took a while for people to boo Moxley on Dynamite as well. Of course, Dynamite was in Chicago this week. Goes to show how over Moxley is. But you mentioned the fall of Punk there. That was the fantasy booking idea I had, was what about the winter of Punk? Winter is coming after all. We're not far from it. And of course, CM Punk, if he was to cheat here and to win the championship, because his 100% isn't good enough anymore, so he cheats to get the victory, and then it gets the Dynamite, people will accept it in Chicago, I would think, because of the fact that he won. But once you start getting to other towns, it can be, well, some of you were turning on me. Like, some people were saying that Jon Moxley was actually the champion when he was the interim champion, and start saying, you know, I'm here to do what I need to do. Maybe it starts becoming not about the people, but about the paycheck. Remember, it's where we called out people like Hangman Adam Page, and that's the scene where those people can come back in and try and get opportunities with Punk, a new Punk who says he's going to do what it takes to get the dub. He's not there for anymore. He's not even going to do it for Chicago anymore. He's just going to do it for CM Punk, and that's what he's there for. Would that be something you'd like to see?
Absolutely. I think we all want to see a heel CM Punk because that's where he's most comfortable in, honestly. He's an easy guy to boo. He's an easy guy to dislike. I mean, we do enjoy the homecoming of sorts here, returning to professional wrestling, but the honeymoon phase is over. I want to see the true CM Punk, and that is him turning heel eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only other way you could do it is Moxley wins, and with CM Punk not being able to do it in his hometown of Chicago, maybe spirals out of control, and that's where the heel Punk sort of kicks in because of the fact that not even Chicago could get him over the line, so it's actually Chicago's fault, and he breaks down at the end of the show.
There you go. Yeah, that would be something.
That could be interesting. It would actually be good if there's someone actually then to debut in that spot to confront Punk. That could be a good place to bring that person in. Maybe if there's a Chicago wrestler that could be there to defend Chicago.
Colt Cabana, because we know they have a great relationship.
There we are. Tony Khan, if you're watching, book it. Colt Cabana versus CM Punk. We want it. Let's get into the comments, see what people have got to say. But just say, by the way, quickly, Kyle, you said CM Punk for the W.
CM Punk is my pick. Yep.
I'm going to do the same as well. I think CM Punk is going to pick up the victory. I think Moxley won the unification match, but I think that was just so he could be AEW World Champion officially to then drop it to CM Punk. But Anthony says Mox for the victory. Jeff Sabian said that the main event, here we come, but he had Bryan for the victory against Jericho. Also, we've got another comment. We've got a few comments still from the last match that we didn't get through, so we'll quickly go for those as well. Maybe match interference by Garcia will probably cause some more drama, and maybe Danielson wins, and then Garcia tries to reason with Jericho, and then hits the juice that affected Garcia. That makes a lot of sense to do that. That certainly would bring him to the Blackpool Combat Club. Would like to see it go down that way if they were to do that. Just saying, Old Man Punk is losing. You want to know 15 minutes lose. Moxley wins and then lights out the Stokely faction attacks Moxley with W. Morrissey.
I don't want to. That doesn't do it for me. I don't think that's big enough. You saw how last year's All Out ended. I think it needs to be equally as big. I know we're not going to get two people debuting because that moment was insane when we saw Adam Cole and Danielson show up, but you need something that's like huge that's going to happen here in the main event.
Absolutely. I think you need to go bigger. I think you do. I mean, I said that would work for Ring of Honor if they want to do that as a group, but I think that's where it probably goes for now. We got that, obviously, the previous comment from Silk. Don't know where it goes from here. Martin says, I don't understand the rematch. Was it to maybe make Moxley the real champ for 10 days, or was it to make sure that CM Punk is more over than Moxley in his hometown?
Probably both.
Probably a bit of both, yeah. I would say. Yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Ace Spade, Anthony says here was the trainer name there for CM Punk. Obviously, it was went there earlier on. But Sil goes on to say, I was thinking he'll turn Punk. So we've been thinking there, so we agree there. Jake Michael as well says CM Punk wins because the Good Brothers help CM Punk and Punk turns heel. We've got Straight Edge Punk back with the Good Brothers and Serena Deeb are the throwback to WWE in 2010. Would love to see it. Was that just before your time, the Straight Edge Society?
It was, but I do know about them. I've seen a little bit on the Peacock about the Straight Edge Society, so that one didn't go over my head.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I would like to see that go down. That would be a fun throwback. To say the very least. Martin says, what are your honest thoughts on Tony Khan stating that CM Punk longer promos are better than having longer Thunder Rosa ones? Did he actually say that? Oh, God, Tony.
That guy just really puts his foot in his mouth a lot. I mean, he puts on good shows most of the time, but the stuff that comes out of his mouth, I don't enjoy it.
That's a questionable comment to say the very least.
That's your women's champion. Or
absolutely. What? Absolutely, yeah, or was, yeah, absolutely. If Andre Chase was here, if Andre Chase from NXT was here, he'd say this could be a teachable moment. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah.
But Randy Samuel says CM Punk wins for heel tactic, and then Wardlow shows up FTR, and then they FTR low blow Wardlow, and then joins CM Punk, and then we've got trash throwing to end the show with Punk's new faction. Of course, Josie said they'd only like a Punk and FTR faction. Could that be a way it could go down?
Yeah, definitely. I'd be here for that.
Absolutely. Still saying, could we get the AEW version of the Straight Edge Society? Maybe we might. Maybe CM Punk will go straight edge and everybody and get everyone to boo once again him like they did before.
It would give Serena Deeb something to do because she's very talented and I'd like to see more of her.
I would like to see more of her as well. Jake Michael says, I want to ask this. How do you and Carl feel about Kip Sabian's new look and character? He looks like a villain. Personally, I would say I quite like it, and I want to see more. I'm intrigued to see where it goes next because I've been used to him looking like Marshmallow for the last year.
Yeah, I'm in agreement 100%. I think it's intriguing. We'll see what happens here, though.
Yeah, I think that the thing that's fun about it is it doesn't give a lot away. There's no real answers at this point. So I think that's part of the interest.
Yeah.
And Kenneth says Moxley wins, and then someone with an A-horn mask attacks Moxley, and then Punk. Then nobody knows if it's MJF for a storyline, but make Phil have people talk who this is, like a whodunit moment with an A-horn mask, like Dean Ambrose had before leaving WWE. Could someone else be asking for their release if this was to actually happen?
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either. Perry Kerry says Moxley loses and then Punk wins and then John Moxley turns on the Blackpool Combat Club to join with Jericho. It will be hilarious in his opinion.
Would be wild.
And would be wild. And that's another heel comment there, Perry. Loving it. When Tony tweeted after Vince retiring, the guy lost my respect. Yeah, absolutely. It was not the place nor the time. Martin says, great stuff, guys. As always, so much wrestling to cover. It never ends, and it never does. But I want to say very, very quickly, thank you, everyone, so much for your comments. We really, really do appreciate it. If you can like this video, then please do. If you can share it with a friend as well, please do. Subscribe to SCW. And while you're at it as well, why not subscribe to On the Mark Wrestling Podcast? Because, hey, it's too sweet for starters. It's the triple threat. It's Kyle, it's Erica, it's Tucky. It's a great trio. They're going to be doing a show later on today, 7 p.m. Central Time. Tell them all about it.
Yeah, if you don't know the time zones, 7 Central is in an hour and a half. We will be live on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. Like Steve said, he's going to have the link there, so go ahead and subscribe. We're going to be talking about Clash at the Castle, and we're talking about All Out. We're giving our predictions. I got my good friend Ian G, who's going to be on for his 21st birthday. How about spending your 21st birthday on a wrestling podcast? I can't think of a better way. So we're going to be playing some drinking games here in about an hour and a half. So come on, let's have some fun. Let's talk some wrestling. We're always talking AEW and WWE. But, Steve, you brought up the MVM. Would this be the time I award my MVM?
This would be the time, yeah. Who is going to win the MVM?
So if you don't know, you're just tuning in. The MVM is the most valuable mark of OTM. I want this MVM to show up here in an hour and a half and try to defend the interim. I'm going to call it the interim since we're talking AEW MVM title. And that winner is going to be none other than Martin Carrillo. I like the comments that he had. The questions were very good. And it was just solid interaction all around from Martin. So shout out to you, Martin. You are the new interim MVM of OTM.
There we go. Congratulations there to Martin there. And you can defend that championship 7 p.m. Central on the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Fantastic podcast, as I say. Make sure to go subscribe to them. If you're not aware of the channel, the link is in the description of this video. So you just got to click that link. You go straight to their channel, hit the subscribe button, and then turn on the notification on as well, because they'll literally tell you when the show starts then, so you don't miss it from the very beginning. Some great stuff going on there. Like you say, you're going to talk Clash at the Castle as well. So lots to dive into. The wrestling, it never does end. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun, this. And I want to say, Kyle, thank you so much. It's been a long time coming, but I'm so glad we were able to do this. Yeah,
we're definitely going to have to do this again sometime. I enjoyed every little second of this. We almost went 2 hours, which is crazy. I'm going to be talking for another hour and a half here in an hour and a half. It's just like my co-host Tuck says, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And those words have never been more true than right now here in 2022. So Steve, thank you for letting me be a part of this. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. And if you're not already subscribed to Steve's channel, make sure you do so, because this guy's the best in the business. Wait, right here. There we go. Found you.
I appreciate the kind words, my man. It's been great to have you on. And literally, I say best wishes to you and the gang. I mean, I would say big fan of the podcast you do. It's one of the shows that I say it's must see every week. I always make time to watch your show, and I recommend everyone to highly go and take time out and go and see it. Even if they can't do it live, some for the time zones, if you're on UK time zone or whatever, but make sure it's always worth watching on delay as well. It's a terrific trio. You can't go wrong. That's all I can say with OTM. And they've got their own merch as well, which you can see sporting there. Kyle has got the original T-shirt on, and the Bryan Danielson T-shirt will be available as well on their website, which you'll be wearing at the show. So interesting stuff indeed. Yes, and Kerry says, "Are you going live for Clash?"
Kind of. Well, yeah. I mean, not for during the show, but we're going live tonight to talk about Clash. I'll be in a hotel room with my buddy and that Saturday watching Clash at the Castle.
Sounds cool indeed. Yeah, like you say, you got GCW as well this weekend as well. But it says, good show, guys. Thank you so much indeed there. As you say, Martin Career says, great stuff. It never ends. Silk as well saying, great guys and too sweet. Whoop, whoop, indeed. And Jeff Samuel here saying, Carl gets SCW his flowers. Let's go. I told you, SCW, a YouTube legend. Good show, guys. Thank you very much there. I feel like I've been serenaded at a New Japan show. I love it.
Steve is the GOAT, people. Steve is the GOAT. I'm telling you. I look up to this man over here.
You're too kind. You're far too kind. Well, I'd say if anyone wants to check out my Clash of the Castle predictions, they're available now at NXT Worlds Collide as well there. But I think the best way that we can finish off the stream today is to say, Sesame Daddy-O. Just so thank you for that comment there for you. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching. Enjoy AEW All Out. And too sweet, Carl, myself, we'll see you very, very soon. All the best. Take care. And thanks for watching.